My lord.
We're live. Gentlemen. Hi.
Hello.
How are we doing?
Good.
Damn.
Good. That's what we want to hear. Woo. That's what we want to be.
Yeah.
First off, what are we playing? Updates. Games.
Kyle, you go first. You were telling me right before we started about.
Yeah. I am playing Split Fiction with my wife. And still playing it, and it's a lot of fun.
How far into it would you say you are?
We got to be getting close. I don't know exactly because I haven't looked up any spoilers. Not that it's like one of those games, so it's gonna have
No.
how could you do this?
Yeah.
I would say like gameplay wise, this is like 10 out of 10 for sure. Story wise, I mean it's pretty weak if we're being honest.
Really?
Yeah. Story wise.
I thought it was kind of it seemed like a cool concept.
It's a cool concept, but like
the
the story itself just feels like almost like it was written by like AI or something. It just is not very like
no bueno.
It's just like there's a lot of things about it that just it is kind of just silly, but that's not really the point of this game. And it has heart for sure, and that's
so
all
would you
that I
say
really care about.
It Takes Two better story?
I think so. That one, it kind of. I think the problem with this with Split Fiction is the two main characters are writers, right? Both of their stories that they go into are like there's multiple stories they all go into. They're both not like that great, and it's like no wonder you guys haven't been published because they're just like rip-offs of other things. And I think it's just like they just do that because like they need an excuse to just have this crazy, silly, like over-the-top world.
Yeah.
So it's very entertaining. The lack of the story being like an A+ material doesn't hinder my experience whatsoever. The peak of the Hazelight storytelling was like definitely a way out. And then they shifted away from storytelling and just kind of went all gameplay after that. I feel like not that It Takes Two is a bad story, but it wasn't.
It's not their focus.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's the story isn't like what they're focusing.
It's like story beats that are memorable, like the elephant.
Right. Yeah. But it's super fun. It's chock full of references to like a million different things. Gameplay is very reminiscent of It Takes Two, but they do come up with some new things and they kind of push the limits a little bit. But like, yeah, there was like an Akira reference, there's a Halo reference, lots of different anime references, video game references. There's like an SSX, like tricky level where she's like, I wrote this story back when I used to be really into video games, and then they're like going on snowboards and like, but
sick.
Just stuff like that. So it's like a love letter to like just storytelling in general. Which I can really appreciate, and it's a lot of fun. So far, this is like definitely an A+ game for me. It's
Hell yeah, dude.
A lot of fun.
I'm loving that. I can't wait. We're gonna play that later this summer. So
yeah, I think you guys will really enjoy it. If you liked It Takes Two, then I don't see any reason why you wouldn't like this.
Are you split screen on the PS5?
So no, it's crossplay. So
wife's on the computer and
she's on the computer and I'm on the PS5.
Wow.
And you could still use the friends code.
That's
even
cross-platform.
Yeah,
they are the pioneers of that.
Yeah,
I love that shit so much. What are you playing?
Right now, I'm playing Death Stranding 1.
Whoa,
It was
1.
because you're trying to get ready for 2.
Well, so yes, and it was free on PlayStation Plus right now. The director's cut.
And Norman Reedus reached out to you, right?
He did. He
He
did.
said, "Please play this and review it for your podcast." 'cause I
He
think
invited
that's
me
what's
on
gonna
his
sell
show to, ride with Norman Reedus.
Yeah, right. You're on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Norman
So I'm
Reedus.
in the process of filming that too.
Is that like a take on Jerry Seinfeld's like car comedians?
Norman
in
Reedus
cars?
literally has a show called
think
Ride
he
with
had it
Norman
first.
Reedus, and
And he
they
does
go
live
on a-
podcasts while riding his
they don't do a podcast.
No.
They like ride from destination to destination, and they like talk a little bit at each
okay.
and then they keep riding.
and then they
Wow.
ride.
It's so cool.
And I think it was before Seinfeld's.
Oh, okay. So he was the OG?
Yeah. Because they were advertising it when Death Stranding 1 came out, which I believe was like 2018.
I think
be
comedian in the
wrong.
car getting coffee was like older than that.
It was?
Yeah.
Okay. I might be wrong there. But anyways, playing Death
They're
Stranding.
totally different.
Yeah.
They're not even, you can't even compare the two.
No.
So-
One set in a live action universe.
Yeah. The other video game. No.
You play GTA with Norman Reedus on a motorcycle. Ride with
No, you
Norman.
play Death Stranding with Norman Reedus. Oh God. And he tries to explain the story to you.
Yeah.
So I did play it when it first came out. I was not ready for it then. I'm still barely ready for it now.
Okay, what the fuck?
As far as like how weird the story is, like I think I played a lot more games that have made me come outside of the Western box of like how game developers act. Because this is Hideo Kojima, guy that
The weirdest dude
Metal
in the
Gear Solid.
industry, yeah.
But I'm really enjoying it. Something about playing it this time clicked, and it is such an interesting gameplay cycle of like it's not your average, it's not a shooter, it's not really anything. It's its own genre.
Post-apocalyptic delivery, man.
Yes, that's what it is. And so it's like they took though some of or not at that time it was Breath of the Wild. Some of Breath of the Wild and like took inspiration from that as far as like it's a lot of just walking or like riding your motorcycle or like just going from point A to point B, and the biggest difficulty is how you get there. And it's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. I think how they handle the horror aspect. So there's these things called BTs, and they're like these invisible. They're these ghosts with an umbilical cord. Yeah, whatever.
Freaking weird.
So they're invisible, and I really like how they handle it because even now I would say I'm fairly close to beating it. They still stress me out. Like I have never been able to be like I'll be fine because they're invisible. And say if you're delivering a package from here to here, right?
Yep.
If there happens to be a storm and it starts raining, that's when they show up. It's called timefall, and that's another crazy thing. The rain ages stuff that it hits. So they only show up when it's raining. So you'll know when you start and it's like, oh shoot, it's raining. They're going to show up. And then you have like your little baby, and he pops out this thing that's like clicking the whole time, and it tells you how close you are. So it'll go slow, and then the closer they are, and then it'll eventually spin when they're right there. And then you have to hold your breath. And if they catch you, they drag you to a different area. All your cargo like gets knocked off, and then this giant whale comes out that you have to fight with your barely able to fight resources. Like even now I have guns and stuff, so I think it wouldn't be as bad, but it's such an interesting
That
experience
is
of
some
how
next level weird, man.
yeah. And I think it's cool though. I think it's cool that it's not a game where you overpower the enemy. Like you never feel like, oh, it's just, I can handle it, no problem. No, it's like I don't ever want to deal with these guys, and I have to. And then like you reach a point in the game where you lose the baby, so you can't detect them. They're just around you. And that part is stressful.
I remember seeing the trailer for this, and I walked away going like, I'm never playing that game ever. It's so creepy. You got a message there for you, bud.
So you won't.
So weird.
I can't. Yeah, that whole realm is creepy, man.
Hey Grace, Atari Pong. It's good. It's classic.
Are you
OG.
grinding Atari Pong?
Huh?
Are you grinding?
I'm grinding Atari Pong. I don't think we'd have video games that we do now if we didn't have Atari Pong.
No game has eclipsed the original Pong.
But
the story, the narrative.
What do you think video games would have taken off without Pong?
Yes, because it would have just been something else. They're too addictive. You think up until that point, I mean, like arcade games, like physical machines and stuff have been popping off. Like people have been wanting some kind of digital experience that they could sell. It's let's just put it this way: it's too successful from a commercial standpoint to sell that it would not have not been a thing. Because now you can sell something and you're not selling a physical product, and that was like the first time
When they're
ever.
like, whoa.
I mean, like the idea of software.
I think
is just,
Tetris was a pretty milestone in gaming when that was developed.
Hello.
The way he did that was so weird. I'm
finishing.
I heard that the second one though, back to
Death Stranding?
Death Stranding. I heard that it's leagues better.
So
Everyone's saying that game is like way better than the first one, and as someone that didn't really like the first game, I am a little intrigued on the second one. But
Kyle, I think you should download the free version on PlayStation Store because it's the director's cut.
I have it downloaded.
Do you have the director's cut though?
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's been on the PlayStation Store for a while.
It has
And Norman Reedus
Easter
asked me.
eggs, 2 Easter eggs, multiple Easter eggs, 2 game franchises. There's a whole Cyberpunk side mission, multiple like the whole length of the game. You get the bike from Cyberpunk, you get the cosmetic, you get Johnny's arm, the metal arm. You can put that on.
How do they just get the license to that?
It's
partnered
because Hideo Kojima,
Provided some.
he
art?
just likes CD Projekt Red, and he even cameoed in Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
He played like some famous director guy sitting at a hot posh party, like talking about story writing and stuff. And he's in Cyberpunk, so they just did like a little
They're like, hey, handshake.
swap, a
let's,
little collaboration.
Oh yeah, it's like it goes the whole length of the game because it's like every major area you get into, you get another mission, and they imply that who you're talking to is Jackie. Jackie didn't die; he went to another universe.
This is in 2018.
no, so this
Are
is
you
the
talking about
director's
2?
cut.
Oh,
No.
this is director. Okay.
So this was added after the fact.
I'd be tripping.
So they have Cyberpunk in there.
They knew. Even
Yeah, I'm like, what did they get access to the whole story like years before?
The other one they have.
2019 is when
2019.
Death Stranding came out.
So it was close.
Yeah.
The other one they have is Valve. All like they have Portal.
Yeah.
They have Half-Life. You get Gordon's glasses.
Conan O'Brien.
Conan O'Brien's in the game.
He really is. I'm not
He's-
even kidding.
What is this game?
It's crazy. The amount of stuff that's in it, and it's weird because it's like, so it's a depressing game when you look at what happened to the world. Like, there's such this weird comedy to it that's so
It's like a dark, stale comedy.
no, even beyond that. Like you'll be sitting there. So Norman Reedus,
Beyond us.
It's beyond
He said
us.
he's not quite ready for it, but he's almost there.
It only took to 30 to figure it all out.
when you are in between missions, you go rest in your room, right?
Okay.
Or you can go whenever. You can keep
Love
your
the
missions.
role play.
But you can go rest in the room and you like take a shower, do stuff, and it gives you resources. So
Do
there's
stuff.
benefit to do it. But if you're sitting there, Norman Reedus will look at the camera and he'll like wink at you and like
What, try to get you to sleep with him?
no, he's like
To play?
interacting with you, and it's weird.
What is this game?
And then randomly, when you go in the room, there'll be like jump scares for no reason.
Yeah, see, I'm never, ever playing this
Like
game.
one time, so when you go in the
Ever.
room first, right? Your guy goes to sleep. You wake up. The lights are off, and you look in the shower, and the door's closed, and there's like a shadow in there. And your only option is to go check it out. And when you go check it out, it jump scares you. And then your guy, like Norman Reedus, wakes up because it was a nightmare. And it's like, what? What?
All right. Anyways, move on. Like,
You played this or just seen some
very
of those?
minimally.
Yeah.
Because it just wasn't like.
Are
it
you
didn't
at
grab
all
me.
excited from 2? For 4 2?
It's already out.
Yeah. I heard it's
When did it
really.
come out?
It came out
Couple days
couple weeks.
Couple
or
weeks
week
ago.
Okay, so like really
Yeah,
recent.
recent.
Okay,
That's
okay.
what made me play number one because I was seeing all the posts and everybody talking about how good it is.
The graphics jumping from this one to the 2. Apparently, it's like mind blowing how much the graphics have improved too. Not that the first one had bad graphics, but
And it's so I haven't even begun to talk about how cool the community aspect of the game is. I was telling you a little bit about it when we were on talking online one night. So how the game works, it's online. You can play it not online, but I think you're missing out on a huge part of like the essence of Death Stranding. You'll be connected with, I don't know the number, like 20, 30, 50 people. You never see them. But your worlds are shared in the aspect of anything you build will show up in other people's worlds. So
Oh, that's cool.
so for example, when you're first playing the game, you're the whole game is about journeying west, okay, trying to get to California from New York. And when you reach a new area, you're not connected to the network. Okay, so that's your main mission, is you're trying to connect the networks. When you connect the networks, that when everybody's thing shows up. So like the game's not broken because you have to physically get through it the first time, but then once it's connected, everybody's stuff they built shows up. But it's not too much. I don't know how they figured that out to where it doesn't feel like it's.
Well, it sounds like they either borrowed from or they share this. It seems like these guys are connected to everybody, but like the Elden Ring or like the Souls style of shadows that you see kind of echoing through the world.
Yeah.
So and the messages on the ground, right?
So, like when I first started playing it all those years ago, I didn't really get into it. Now I get into it more. I'm still not like some people. Some people build bridges and build roads, and like you need so many resources, and you just have to go get those resources. Like it's annoying. But in this mountain area I'm in, I've been placing these zip lines, and they're connecting to other people's zip lines, and it's essentially we've broken the mountain area of you can just zip line everywhere.
Oh, awesome.
But only because
You've built that network.
I built it, and I was building off of what people already built, and I think that's such a cool experience because you never meet these people and you don't know
My
them.
favorite part.
Yeah, and then so they can like you. Anything you built, they can like it. And then when you log back in, you'll receive your likes, and it tells you like how many you got from people.
So very echoing of Souls. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
and then
rated your message.
And it heals you.
no, it doesn't heal you. But you can. The only way you could potentially run into somebody is they're still invisible, but if you press the touchpad, Norman Reedus like calls out like hello. If there's somebody near you, you'll hear a response. You don't see them, but you'll hear like a
That's
hey.
creepy.
And so it's like, oh, there's literally another player like right here. That's wild.
And this game's like 6 years old. And it's
Yeah,
still
and you can
alive feeling.
you can donate weapons that anybody can grab. You can grab
See, if this game wasn't so creepy, I might
it's-
be inclined to play.
because it's a weird story and it's so weird. But
I feel like you wouldn't like it because
Yeah.
it's like a lack of game type thing.
I do have to say the gameplay
Sandbox
loop.
play.
Yeah,
Have
it's
fun.
like
Once you get into it, for me, it's actually relaxing. Of going from point A, besides the ghost.
Billy doesn't play to relax.
I know. Besides, it doesn't bring
Plays
value.
games that have fun.
Yeah, it doesn't bring value.
Losers.
Going from point A to point B, just the traveling, like I have a motorcycle and I usually try and take that everywhere I can. But sometimes just walking, it's like satisfying. You feel like you're the Fellowship, Frodo.
Wow.
I highly doubt I would feel like that.
I feel like Frodo sometimes.
I'm Frodo. I'm going on an adventure.
I'm sure there's a mission
Oh,
with
it's
the ring.
Bilbo.
I'm sure.
Oh, there has to be. I mean,
You
they
gotta
got every
drop in
other.
a
They got
volcano.
Conan O'Brien in there. Why not?
It's so funny too because he didn't even like know like why
What?
he was there. They just he just usually says yes to everything because he just doesn't care. And so like
Well, let's have him on. As a
there's
guest.
this whole clip where like he had to record all these silly lines and these jokes that aren't funny, and he like did it or whatever. And then Norman Reedus, like he comes up as like a hologram, and then Norman Reedus was on Conan's show. He's like, "Oh, I was on that game too," and they compared the two, and Conan looks so stupid compared to Norman Reedus's character, and he's like, "What the hell? Like, what did I do over there? What did they even put me in? Like, it's so random."
His character's name is the Cosplayer.
Okay.
Okay. He gives you, when you do missions with him, he gives you this hood that his wife made. And it's this sea otter that hugs.
Dude, what is...
And it's like the best hood. Like I'm wearing it right now. And so whenever it rains, the hood pops out and its little hands come up right here and it's a little sea otter. And then when it goes away, it makes a noise like, "Ee."
I don't. I feel like it's not
See
selling
the
me.
humor? It's weird.
What's up, Suzanne? Getting a shout out. That is
What's up,
such,
Suzanne?
That's so goofy.
Yeah, I'm
Is it
really
a game
enjoying
that?
it, though.
So does it take itself seriously, or is that part of the fun? Like,
No, so it does at points. Like you learn of, just to give you an example, there's this character named Fragile, because the whole game's
Fragile.
about moving packages, and everybody's name is related somehow.
There's a reason.
It's like, yeah.
Reasons.
But anyways,
okay?
so the rain ages you if it touches you, right? So people die if they're in the rain with no covering. They'll just turn into an old person and pass away. So her story, you learn, her face is fine. The rest of her body's old. The main bad guy, terrorist, was having her deliver a nuke to a town. And like, this is already a place where like humanity's barely surviving, right? And she found out before she delivered it. So she tried to run away. He stops her. He takes off all of her outer clothes. She's still in like normal clothes.
And forces her to stand out in the rain.
And says, you have two choices, because she has the ability to teleport, but she can't take any like physical object. So he's like, you can either leave now, be fine, or you can take the bomb, run out in the rain. He makes it rain. He's like, you can run out in the rain and save the city at the cost of your body. So like, there's dark moments where it's like, damn. And they make you watch her run out there, and as she's like aging, and throws the bomb.
Damn.
Why would she choose the teleport option? Why would she care about the town? Like,
Because she's a good person?
yeah, but she was the one transporting the nuke.
She didn't know she was.
Oh, come on.
She didn't know she was.
Oh, I didn't know I accidentally had a nuclear weapon.
But then you ready for the part of like the weird
I
humor?
don't buy it, Kyle.
At this
Because
point,
you would sacrifice the town for your youth.
yeah, it's like I'm teleporting out of there.
Good.
My value. Before you learn this,
See ya. Disappear.
blow up the town. Before you learn this story, you're doing this delivery mission one time, and at this point, you've only seen the main bad guy with a mask on. Okay, this guy, all of a sudden, the machine, like where you get the deliveries, breaks. This dude comes out and he's like hiding his face. He's kind of suspicious. Hands you a package. He's like, "This is urgent. You got to deliver it." As soon as you go to when you take a mission, it tells you your inventory, and like you can sort it where it is on your back. It says small thermonuclear bomb.
Small thermonuclear bomb. Okay.
So you know you have
Yeah.
it, and you have to take it and throw it into a lake. But just that's like the weird
Screw the
humor.
fishes.
Is like, you know it's suspicious. It's like, okay, and then it's like, no, it's blatantly obvious
Yeah.
that this is.
Have
you're
you
like, "Oh."
ever played like a Metal Gear game?
No, never.
They have always like
Been a little goofy like that.
they're always like they balance goofy and seriousness in like equal measure. And they have like the weirdest thing, like Kojima's always trying to push, like break the rules of like gaming. One of the earliest examples of that is like way back in like Metal Gear, I think it was like 2, with the boss Psycho Mantis. He would like
so cool.
this is like way back in like PS1, I think.
It was PS2.
Was it
No,
PS2?
It was PS1.
I think it's PS1.
Yeah.
He would read your memory card, the boss, and like he's like, I'm going to read into your who you are. And then he would
Like
like
see other data saves?
yeah, and he would be like, you play a lot of
Ape
you know,
Escape.
Ape Escape. Like it would read your
kinda
memory card
cool.
and like say that.
And he would threaten to delete it.
Yeah, and he would be like, if you mess with
don't.
me, I'll delete your memory or whatever. And then he would do things like
See, as a kid, that would scare the crap out of
yeah, and then he would be like, I'm going to paralyze you. And then like your controller just starts shaking violently and stop working. And people had to find out you had to unplug it and plug it into the second slot to be able to keep
beat
playing.
him.
Like that's
That era?
in like the 90s. Like this is what Kojima
Dude, you gotta
was
buy a
doing.
Game Shark to figure that shit out.
Yeah,
Well, I guess it said it in the instruction booklet.
Oh, but if you read.
If you read it.
if you read the instruction booklet.
Okay, I'm starting to see why this guy's kind of like the go.
Yeah.
He has
He's
a
like
really
a
cool.
super cult
He
following.
doesn't do anything. like-
there's no institutionalized thing
He's
about
always
it.
everything he does, he wants to create something new. He hates unoriginal anything.
Got it.
And that's his whole shtick.
Can I ask a very dumb question? When I think of Metal Gear, whatever,
Yeah.
I think of the 2D arcade game. Is there any relation?
Are you thinking
No.
of Metal Slug?
Metal Slug? Is that
That's what
even
you're thinking of?
remotely the
Not
same?
related.
Okay.
Metal Slug's just like
Metal.
a
That's
side-scrolling
called
shooter.
Metal Slug.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of Metal Slug levels in Split Fiction though too.
Oh,
all of a sudden it just goes to like 2D, and then you have like these guns that like you can
Like
shoot around.
Contra.
Yeah,
sick.
like it's
Okay.
so. Split
So-
Fiction has a bonfire reference from Dark Souls. You like find a sword flaming and you rest at it, and it's like, "Come rest, weary traveler," and it says "Moonfire lit," but in the exact same way that bonfire looks.
Dude, I love
Yeah.
that. Sounds like
Anyways.
this guy might have been Kojima. They worked with him.
I'm surprised there's no Kojima Easter eggs in it.
There might be.
Right,
I
it
mean,
might be.
there's so many that there's probably videos out right now tallying them all up. I've got like 20 of them so far that I've counted as far as like the references go.
Dang.
Damn.
But yeah, so Death Stranding 2, then you're probably going to play it.
Yeah, and like so from the clips I've seen, I don't understand how we get from this point to the next point. There's the only part I've seen.
Sounds like they don't need to explain.
No, but in number 2, there's a boss battle where
You
you're.
spoiled this for yourself already?
I don't understand the context of it, so I have no
Okay.
clue. There's a boss battle against a guy. You both have guitars. In the middle of the fight, you have a like jam session, and you're like battle with the guitars, and then you proceed to like beat each other up with the guitars after. How does this work in?
It
See?
just does,
It just
Dylan.
does.
It just does.
Just us.
Well, I've been playing Dune Awakening still.
Ooh,
I'm loving it. I'm at 80 hours in the game.
Still loving it.
Yep. I have a buggy. I've got a backup buggy. I've got a sand bike. I've got a backup sand bike. My primary buggy's all Mark V. I've got a Mark IV Scout Ornithopter. I've got a Mark V Assault Ornithopter. I'm working on a Mark V Scout.
Well, I got a quick
Ornithopter.
question. Can you upgrade your ornithopters, or do you have to build like a brand new one?
What's kind of cool is it depends on what you want. So you could have like a like a tier 4 hull or cabin or something, but then put like Mark 6 wings on it. So you get the benefit of flying faster, but you can carry less fuel. Like
Okay.
each part has a reason why it's on there. It'll be like the hull for the buggy determines how many utility slots you have. So you might have a turret on top so you can mine materials and the storage, or you can have like a storage and a booster.
But would
so
you be able
travel
to
faster.
upgrade your hull
Yes.
from 3 to 4, 4 to 5?
You would be able to detach it, recycle it,
And
which
put
would
a
give
new
you
one on.
some of the materials back.
Okay.
And then upgrade it to something.
That's good, because
Yes.
I
It's
hate
not zero.
ones where you have to like rebuild a whole new thing.
I know. This is so like actually some of the more meta, like if you're trying to optimize for efficiency, they actually recommend you're constantly breaking down your stuff so that you can hold it in your inventory, fly somewhere with something else, and then build it at your location so you're faster. Because like your buggy is slow compared to your ornithopters. So
Every time you-
travel.
Every time we talk about like the games you get really into, I always think of that Key and Peele sketch where Peele, and he's talking about robbing a bank and how they to get in they interview and then they start working there. He's like, but when do we get the money? He's like, that's the beauty of it. They deposit it directly into our account every other week. And he's like, motherfucker, that's a job. Every time I listen to you talk about the types of games you like, I think of that's a job.
I know. It's not for everyone.
He's
for
like, but then the greatest part, we worked there, what is he, like 20, 30 years?
He's like, we worked there 20, 30 years, and we just walk out of there like nothing
Nothing
happened.
ever.
They don't even know they're being robbed.
So,
Dude, they're so great.
did you go out into the open desert?
Not yet. So I'm planning. So right now I've got about 80. I'm at 78, 79 hours, something like that. My plan is I've got half of the skill lines maxed out. So I have a couple more skill talents that I just want to get, not because I'm using them, but I just want to have them fully unlocked. And then I think I went the Harkonnen route. And I think I want to not go Atreides, but do all their quest lines as well, which is about an afternoon of gaming. And then complete that. And then I'm missing probably like 3 research facilities, a bunch of strongholds and stuff like that. I think I kind of want to do a completionist route of like the main map and then venture into the deep desert. So, and the reason is there's a lot of bugs in the deep desert right now.
Yeah.
And they're changing up the game, and
Thought it was
I'm
just
not.
worms.
I was going to say.
Get a load of this guy, huh? No, not bugs. There's just a lot of hacking and stuff going on. And the hacking seems to not really be on my server, thank God. But I'm just not, I don't really want to jump
Last
in
thing you
there.
want to deal with is like getting all set up and ready to go,
And then lose
someone
it.
just
Losing
ruins
all your
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm building backups, everything. Like that is not recommended because I'm wasting a lot of resources doing that. But I kind of just like it because I'm kind of rich in this game. So like I'm just kind of building an empire of backup vehicles. So I kind of want to do some stuff there. I'm just having so much fun. I don't know why I'm having fun because the gameplay is pretty average, but I just like how much mental energy I get to dump into this thing. It's just fun. Like I
Is
find
it on
myself
Unreal
looking at
5?
everything.
Can't remember.
I don't know. I think it is. I want to say it is. It feels like an Unreal Engine 5 game. But yeah, the gameplay is fine, and it's definitely gets better once you start really getting a lot of different abilities because the abilities really enhance the experience. But I just love I feel like it's more on the Dune universe than it is the gameplay,
Right.
because swords in this game are so good.
I was gonna say,
And
I
you
feel
find
like it's
yourself using
more.
a sword
You're
more
just a
than
fan of
weapons.
that IP
Yes.
And
Oh,
it's-
dude,
yeah.
it's carrying a lot of water for me right now.
for sure.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to diving into the deep desert. My guild's still going strong, so I'll join up with them. I might do some. I don't have to really wait. I have everything that I could be useful to them now.
Yeah.
I have the concern of like going there because the assault ornithopters are very expensive to make, and so
And
I have
losing
that.
it the moment
Yeah,
you go.
exactly. So like I am a little reserved about that, but there's other things I can do to help them and go on raids and stuff, and I'm totally ready for that. I've got full tier 5 armor, full tier 5 weapons, so now it's just working on tier 6 stuff. So
That's
I'm
awesome.
excited.
And this is the official release, right? Not an alpha or beta.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
official.
Because the one thing I hate about survival games, online ones specifically, is when they do when there's an update and so they brick your old save and you have to start brand fresh over.
Oh hell no.
Yeah.
Grounded did that
Yeah.
a couple times and I was like, okay, I'm done.
Let me tell you this. This game has it's cool, but it also sucks. This is where it starts to feel like a job.
That's a job.
So your base will auto power down after 21 days. So if you haven't played in 21 days, your shields come down and then sandstorms slowly eat your base. So you probably have another
Makes
week or
sense
so.
in the lore.
Yes. And you go around the world and you see bases withering away. And you see them falling apart, and like people who have maybe quit the game or maybe just moved bases and didn't take everything. There's a
Yeah.
lot of that. Like I've let one of my bases destroy because I don't use it anymore. You see it withering away. That sucks to me. Because this game is built on.
Because you put so much
So you
blood
would
and
lose
sweat
cars?
into it. And then-
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So because this game is built up on your resources, all this shit, if I quit for like let's say a quarter or half a year, and then came back when they had an update, and now I don't have a base, all of my resources are gone, and I just have what I'm holding in my pocket. Oh boy.
Is there a way to save anything?
There is.
Okay.
But it's fucking lame. So each of the towns have this like emperor banking system, and you can go and store all your materials in there, and that's permanent. You don't have to pay taxes or anything like that.
Right.
But like that still means your base is destroyed when you come back. And then all of your I guess what you could do then, I guess is so one of the cool things about this is if you build a machine, let's say you build a weapons fabricator, you can destroy that weapons fabricator 1-for-1 materials.
Oh, wow.
So you're not like losing it every time you build it. So
Right.
if you destroy that, now you can take it to the bank, and then I guess you could come back. But then what am I going to spend 8 hours rebuilding? It wouldn't be 8 hours, but it would be like a few hours to get up and running. And I don't know. That doesn't seem fun, but it makes the world feel alive because it's like the bases you see are active players. You're like, oh, that guy actually still lives there. He's playing the game.
I could see now like some kid playing and he gets grounded from playing and he has a meltdown because all his stuff gets destroyed.
Mom,
my shields are down. Fuck. So I think it makes sense. I from like a IP standpoint, but it just kind of sucks that it's like, oh, I'm gonna retire from this game. I got to do 6 hours of work breaking everything down.
Yeah.
That's kind of lame.
Very job-like.
But they also make things that make it a little easier. So you can make a schematic out of your base, and it'll make a copy of 1-for-1. So like, yeah. So you could say they're called like a replicator or something like that, and it takes like, hey, this is your base. Here's a snapshot of it.
Resources.
Exactly. And then you store it, and you can go anywhere else in the world. Let's say, like, you want this base over here because you want to farm carbon, and then you want to farm aluminum over here, so you want a second base. You could take that replicator, put your base down, and then it schematically gives you the blueprint, and then you can build everything right there.
Okay.
So you don't have to, like, try and refigure out how the hell to build your base. So it's fine. I just don't like the idea that I have to spend a few hours.
Getting rid of the craftsmanship and of architecture when it's all looks the exact same.
Well, I have the most boring house in the history of boring.
It's
my walls
fully
don't
functional block.
It's a cube for sure. I use different walls because at some point, like, I realized that I had like windows, and I'm like, oh, I'll switch to those. So, like, half of the walls are windows. It looks so stupid, but I don't give a shit, dude. I'm there to game.
Value.
I'm there to create resources. So.
Value.
But yeah, I got backups, vehicles. I'm enjoying it.
So I mean, I get how many players are in like your server.
The server thousands, in my Siege 40.
40. So it does kind of solve of like real estate problems of like,
Definitely.
Somebody builds, would go and build bases everywhere, and then you couldn't build your base anywhere.
Right.
But if they can't maintain it,
well, that's why they cap it at 40. So there's definitely, everywhere you go, you see player housing that they built, but not a single. They figured this out to like a science. And not a single time have I felt like it's been obstructive. In any way.
I wanted to build a house there.
Exactly. Well, because most of the routes, the worm goes, and you can't build. You can build where the worm goes, but he'll just eat your shit.
Yeah.
So that kind of limits it too. And then most players are not dicks. I actually have not seen anyone on my Siege because you could build it and block a whole way, like a whole pathway. But traversing the land is actually awesome in that game. It's very, like, I've got a zip line thing that I don't know what the hell it's called.
Grapple hook.
Yeah, grapple hook. I shoot it at it, and then I've got a suspensor belt that I can just, and I've got like the highest tier
Full
one.
Literally,
Literally, I could fly to like the fucking moon. I'm almost faster on foot than I am in my helicopter. That's how fast I am. And
fast.
and then you get some abilities where you can,
very fast.
yeah, fast as fuck, boy. And so I'm having a good time with that. So
Split
anyway,
Fiction has it has fun movement. They have like a
that's so
grapple
big in
hook
games
and,
for me.
Yeah.
If I play a game where I feel like the first off, I hate that games don't have the option to auto run. That should always be a setting in every single game ever.
Yeah.
Or auto sprint, excuse me. Ever. You got that?
Listen,
Figure it out. Listen, devs. Listen, Pirates
this
Software.
is a rant.
And I don't even know what I'm talking about at this point anymore.
So
ranting about auto run.
now do those games have the movement system of Death Stranding where you might wobble a little to the left, you got to hold the right trigger
Because like the wind or something?
because your backpack's so heavy.
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
And then you have to grip when you're going down, you got both triggers down so he grips both.
You might use more water if your backpack's more full. Or you might use more fuel if you're, more full. I don't know.
You know, a game has excellent movement that I also am playing right now.
Ooh, let me think. Excellent
Cyberpunk.
movie. What year?
It came out yesterday.
Okay.
Yesterday.
I'm playing it.
I don't even know. Yesterday. What game came out
It came out yesterday and also over 20 years ago.
I don't know.
So it's a remake.
Clearly. I don't know.
Hold
Any
on, hold
thoughts,
on, hold on.
Suzanne? Or
Think about like the most
Gracie or Ella?
like just basic like
Tetris.
kid Kyle. Like what was
Call of
kid
Duty.
Kyle playing
Modern
pre
Warfare.
Call of Duty
Rayman.
after Rayman?
I'm trying to think of remakes that came out.
Crash Bandicoot. Is it on the PS5?
Yes.
It's got to be on the PS10 store, and they got to be
The
pumping.
original was PS2, Xbox, GameCube.
Xbox and GameCube.
It was on all
GameCube.
three. Actually, I don't know.
Star Fox?
No.
Star Fox was not on Xbox.
Oh, I couldn't. I see. I couldn't answer that. Was it not even on PlayStation? Star Fox wasn't.
No, that's a Nintendo only.
I know I'm gonna hate myself when he says.
One more clue. One more clue. Give us a juicy one.
All right. How do I feel like you'll get it
Yeah,
as
I know,
soon as I
right?
give you another clue. Jack Black is in it.
Minecraft?
Psychonauts?
No, he's in the remake. He wasn't in the original. He plays a police officer.
Tony Hawk Underground.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake.
Jack Black is in it?
Remember Officer Dick?
Yes,
Jack
that was
Black?
Jack Black?
No, now it is.
Oh, now it is.
He's Officer Dick in the remake.
Holy shit. Literally, when you say Officer Dick, I could see where he's standing.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I'm playing. So they already came out
How
with
did
Tony
I
Hawk's
not
Pro
think
Skater.
of Tony Hawk?
I mean,
Because I don't even
I
consider
felt
them
like-
games, but that's not.
They're not game. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
It's fucking like a Madden. It's,
Tony
let's be
Hawk's
honest.
Pro Skater 2 is still one of the highest rated games of all time.
You hear? It's not a
It
game.
actually is.
It's like Madden.
It's like in the top 10. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
I'm surprised you
Highest
didn't
rated
mention
game
you were
of all time.
playing that.
insane, actually.
Because I just started playing it last night, and I
was it?
played the original, to death. But so I already beat Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 in the remake. And I'm working on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. It's not as good as the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake that came out a couple years ago. And reason being is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 is great, but 4 they kind of butchered it because they changed it up. 4 was the first game in the series that didn't have like the 2-minute timer, and you just do as many goals as you can in that 2 minutes. 4 actually had like quote unquote like free roam and
was a more
individual
open
goals
world, right?
that you had to. Yeah, they got rid of that and made it a 2-minute timer game.
Oh.
The maps aren't designed for that. Like they're too big and you can't do like it doesn't feel fun. So that they kind of messed that up. That brought the whole game for me from like a 9 to like a 7.
Dang.
But the first portion of that was a 9. Then Tony Hawk's Pro Skater
3.
4 is like a 6-ish around
Dang.
there.
Why'd
But
they do that?
I don't know. I think it's because they felt like they had to put 2 games in one, and they really shouldn't have, because Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 is a very different game than Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. And also it was a different developer because Vicarious Visions got broken up and sold by Blizzard, and they
Activision, huh?
Activision Blizzard like broke them up and put them into different
Yep.
studios. So they were the ones that developed the first one, and so they did like half of this game. I think they only did like
3.
3, and then the fourth one was like put together
palmed
by
it
this
off.
like B team that didn't do it as well.
What did I play? 2 and 3?
You played 3, and you went back a little bit and played American Wasteland when that came out in like 2005. But the one you played the most at your house was 3.
Was 3?
Yeah, that's the one that had like the airport level
Yes.
and the demon chick.
Yes.
And
God, that
yeah,
was sexy.
Darth Maul was a
Yep.
character. Yeah,
I remember there being like a story, but I don't think I ever really played that.
in
I
3
I
there
just
wasn't a
unlocked-
story. It was still like the arcade style. You have 2 minutes to do as many goals as
Yes.
you can on each level.
So what was the one that had the story? Was that
The
Wasteland?
first one that had like the real story was Tony Hawk's Underground, which is the 5th game in the series.
Because I'm thinking of like there was this outside world, and there's like they're developing houses in like one section, and there's a street and a bridge and another part of it, and then
That's a lot of different Tony Hawk games.
I know
It takes place outside.
I can see it.
Street.
There's a
I can
skateboard.
see it. It's like a housing development, and then
Tony Hawk was in it.
damn, I literally can see this level because there was a super hard mission that I was just like grinding out to get this achievement point. But I feel like the way I play those games, I just would put on all the cheats, unlock all the characters,
Just
and
go
then
crazy.
see if I could pull off, like a.
They got a
7
really
spin.
good roster if like you're a skateboarding fan. They got like all the OGs back, but then they
To
also
voice stuff or
like just the characters. Like they have to basically pay each one of these individuals to have
didn't
them
even
on the
think about
game.
that.
It's like licensing thing. And,
Yeah.
So they have all of the OG skaters like as characters, but they also got like a bunch of new age skaters that are in it too now.
Oh, cool.
So that's really cool. Doom Guy is a secret
Doom
character.
Guy?
Yeah. And he looks just like he does in Doom Eternal, and he's just skating. It's so funny
Does
looking.
it have the cape?
No, he's like in his classic green
Okay.
outfit with like the exposed arms or whatever.
Is his Ollie out of this world?
What's his skateboard?
I don't know. It's like it's definitely not a normal skateboard. It's
it, like,
I haven't
floating
like
probably
looked
or
at it.
something?
Yeah, it's like, but it's really fun.
Why is his name Doom Guy?
That's just like his nickname.
He doesn't
his
have a
official name.
It's Doomslayer, right? That's his
Kind
name?
of is Doomslayer, but everyone just kind of calls him Doom Guy. But Doomslayer is like what they've been trying to. But I feel like Doom Guy will never die.
Yeah,
like that
Well, and
name.
he doesn't have any other name, like
Yeah, no official
John
name.
Doom.
Name's Doom. John Doom.
That'd be so lame.
But they got like this guy Andy Anderson in it as a secret character. They got Bam Margera back, which they weren't gonna have him on at first, and then like literally like a week before the game came out, Tony Hawk was like, "If Bam Margera isn't on this, I'm pulling it." And they were like, "Oh fuck!" And so they like flew him in, quickly added him as a secret character, and he's in the game because Tony Hawk said he's in the original game and he's my friend, and I know he's gone through a lot, but he deserves to be in this game. And like,
Wow. Whoa. Talk about a buddy to have.
yeah, yeah. So Tony Hawk's a good guy, man.
Well, if this game does well, and it sounds like you're having a good time with it,
Yeah.
does Tony Hawk, what is he worth?
Like 300 million.
I was
Something
gonna say,
like that.
does he could he become a billionaire?
I don't think he's that this will make him that. I do know that
Talk about a
his
legend.
money primarily is from the games.
Yes.
Like he made way more money on that than he ever did
Winning
skating.
in competitions.
Like,
yeah.
He'd be worth like maybe 30 million if
I'd be shocked if it was that high.
yeah, like he'd be somewhere. Well, that's kind of the average. Like superstar skaters are kind of around there.
Well, but if you take Tony Hawk away from the video games, it's like
Oh, those games wouldn't have sold nearly as much.
Yeah.
So what's funny is they signed Tony Hawk. Well, Activision approached him and they're like, "We want a skateboarding game. You're kind of like the guy right now. Would you like to be the namesake for the game?" And he's like, "Sure." And then like a week after he made that deal, then he goes to X Games and lands in 900 and becomes the biggest fucking name in the world as far as action sports goes.
I felt like it was after that.
Yeah, and so Activision, he had just signed his contract, and Activision was like, "Holy shit!" And they milked it, and they made like 8 games in the original series, and all of them up until like the last 2 games, they all sold extremely well. Like I said, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 is like still one of the highest reviewed games of all time, which is funny because like it's pretty basic. It's not like, but like it's just something about it just clicked for people. But it's a lot of fun if they do continue this series. If this one sells enough,
Yeah, do you think they'll make?
if they made Tony Hawk's Underground, that would be the one. That would be my dream remake game. Tony Hawk's Underground.
I think that's
is
the
so
one
good.
I played. I didn't play any. I mean, I played like at a friend's house, 1 and 2. You know
Yeah.
those ones. But I think the only one I ever had for myself was Underground.
Tony Hawk's Underground.
Yeah, that one with
was-
the orange.
Yeah. So that was the first game in the series that had like a true, real story. And basically, what it is you're this like just punk kid growing up, just wants to be a pro skater in Jersey, and like the ghetto of Jersey, New Jersey. You get recognized by Stacy Peralta, which also was the first sponsor for Tony Hawk. That's from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 or Underground.
that
2.
is?
Yeah, Underground 2, not Pro Skater
Is
2.
this a bridge?
That is, I mean, yeah.
Oh no, that's the balance meter.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't
That's-
fall
Oh,
down.
I thought that you were like, yes, that is a bounce meter. But the whole story is basically you are an extremely gifted skater. You get sponsors. You just want to be seen by Tony Hawk, and you eventually, you go up, and then you have your best friend that like is your rival because he's jealous of you. And you do this thing where you do this crazy McTwist 40 stories up over a helicopter and like land. And Eric Sparrow, your archenemy, who used to be your best friend, alters the footage and takes credit for it. And then you have to fight your way up to the top, like even though that footage is yours, you have to prove you could still be a pro without it. And you do. And then at the end, you challenge Eric to like a skate off, and you just you skate circles around him, and then the game ends with you being like the greatest pro skater of all time. But it's like I would love for that to be a remake. That game was. I probably put like at least 300 hours into that game as a kid.
Dude, I'm pretty sure I played this game because
These are all different. Well, this game.
Whatever this is the level I'm talking about. There's like this sunken parking lot right here, and there's some challenge
brought this
in
game over to your house a lot.
Yeah,
I played it at your house a lot. So
shit, we shared games. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
you
We were always gaming.
probably played it with me, watched me play it.
There was a challenge in that parking lot. I'm sharing the screen. There's a challenge in this parking lot that I have memories of just putting in sweat equity. Maybe Kyle and I were trying to do it together. There was something where you had to do.
So
you had to like grind. You had to do a combo where you had to like grind this fence and then wheelie, and I don't remember what it was. It was something manual.
So I know what you're talking
this guy
about.
saying?
The final challenge where you have to beat Eric in the skate competition or in the skate off or whatever.
Yeah.
You have to combo the entire map.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're everywhere. Yes.
And you're back in Jersey, and then he's like, "What do you say? You beat me, and you finally get this footage." And then you're like, "It's on, son of a bitch," or whatever.
Eric Sparrow.
And the challenge is you have to combo the entire map.
The whole time you're doing
And I think
trick.
that we like worked at this for hours trying to do
It
it.
was so hard. I remember it was like so difficult. But this is exactly the level I'm talking about. This sunken parking lot, because I think you had to start here or something. I don't know. Or this was the hardest part to get because it's just so jank. I don't know. But that's what I remember.
And you know what's funny? This is the first game I ever played that had alternate endings.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So if you already beat the game once and you play through it again, so I beat it on like easy or whatever, and then I went back and played it on the hardest difficulty. If you beat it the second time, when you go up to Eric and he's just like, "What do you say? One last challenge." If you've already beat all the other difficulties, then your character straight up just decks him in the face, knocks him out, and then you pick up the tape and walk away without doing the final challenge. And I remember as a kid being like, "Oh my God, it's a different ending. What? It's so incredible." But yeah, there was New Jersey, New York, Tampa, San Diego, Hawaii, like Russia. You get arrested and you have to get deported by the Russian embassy because your friend Eric like steals a tank and then blames you for it when he crashes into like that famous like landmark in Moscow. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, he crashes into it. Like
The Kremlin.
Yeah, like I don't know if it's the Kremlin, but so yeah, that's the one that I would kill to
Have a remake of.
That's in Tony Hawk's like Skate Jam.
Yeah, because I don't remember even owning this, so it had to have been your game.
I
remember putting in work on that map.
One. First time I ever played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, a game in that series was actually Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 at your house on the Nintendo 64.
Wow.
Yeah. And I remember you didn't even really like that game that much.
And
I played it more than you did.
Yeah.
I was like, this is everything.
This is the future of gaming.
Billy's like, "Can we play something else?" I'm thinking this one's kind of boring.
Yeah, I was into PGA at the time.
This was so long ago. This was pre-Guild Wars. This was like...
Jeez, pre-6th grade? I was
this came out in 99. We were playing on Nintendo 64. There's really nothing else that we would have even been playing at Smash Bros.
Yeah, I was going to say probably just Smash.
Yeah.
Gail asks his children what game got you hooked on gaming. I think I was always fascinated. I remember, like, my earliest memories of gaming was, like, Spyro on the PS1. I didn't own a PS1, and I also didn't own Spyro, but my two friends did, and I would invite them over. It was DJ and Zach, and they'd come over in first grade before I even knew Kyle. And
You knew me.
not in first grade.
Yeah. I've been your neighbor since I was 2. You were 4.
Yeah. Oh, I guess. Yeah. But did we meet when you were 2, though?
Yeah.
I don't think we met.
I was at your house like pre going to like school.
Yes.
Like Maybe it's just because I was more friends with Matthew at that point.
But let's put it this way: I don't think a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old are hanging out. Like, come over and bring the juice box. We knew each
He's
other.
above
but
you.
He's above me.
It's like even when
man.
you're that young, like the difference of even 1 grade is significant. You know what I mean? Like we weren't. I wouldn't say we were friends at that point.
Why would you downplay how long I've known you? I'm disappointed.
Well, I'm trying to think of like my first memories of us hanging out.
You always talk about it all the time. I was like
Eating the ketchup.
3 years old.
I just told the story like
I was eating ketchup, and I said, "You got any more of this red stuff?" And you thought that was the funniest thing you've ever heard in your life at that point.
Yes, but are you too saying that?
I was talking pretty early. I was like between 2 and 3, maybe closer to 3.
Because we hung out with Austin way later, and that was when
That was
more in
like closer
third grade.
to.
I remember that I was like in 3rd, maybe even a little later than that. Maybe when they were in 3rd.
I have very clear memories of them when I was like 4 or 5 as well.
Yeah, but
I
think
used
there
to
was a
go over to their
disconnect.
house all the time, and we would like play in the sandbox and stuff. And
Yeah, I guess there's that photo of us at their birthday party too.
We
I don't
derailed
know.
far.
Yeah, we totally devolved. What are we even talking about here?
First
He-
gaming
you-
memory.
You know what? You're like Gandalf when he goes and he's like,
Follow your nose.
and he's like, I have no
No
memory
memory.
of this place. He does this to me all the time. He always has no memory of things that are so clear in my head. It makes me think I'm crazy.
I think you're crazy. I think you're just making shit up. No.
So what game got you hooked on gaming, Kyle?
You didn't finish.
Yeah, but my earliest like, let's grind this game was Spyro.
Yeah.
Zach and DJ would come over and and that was in 1st grade.
Kyle didn't exist.
Apparently,
I just don't. Yeah, I don't know.
Wasn't
I mean,
a-
we obviously knew each other, but I mean, like, we weren't hanging out. I don't even. Do you hang out in 1st grade? I don't even know. Like, I guess that's what I'm trying to remember. Like, at what point did we become involved?
when did you start creating value for me? That's what he's saying right now.
Yeah, we're creating value for. You see, like,
I've known this guy for 28 years, but I've only been creating value for like 15.
26.
Yeah.
26.
Before then,
Those 2 years were nothing, Kyle.
You were nothing. For me, the game that I can say right, the game easily. I could say the game that got me into gaming was Spider-Man.
ooh, PS1.
The PS1 Spider-Man, but I had it on PC, which actually was the better port. The graphics were better on PC than PS1. And that game came out in like either 99 or 2000. So I was like 5 years old. And I remember that being the first one that I actually felt like I could play and understand. And like I got and I had a lot of fun with. But the first thing that like got me interested in gaming was actually watching my dad play games. He's not like a gamer anymore, but my dad, when I was little, used to be a really avid like PC gamer. And I used to watch him. He loved games like Mech Warrior and Descent, and he liked sci-fi games, and he especially loved like simulators. So he was always playing like some kind of flight sim with like the joystick and everything.
God, yeah.
And there's this game that I used to watch a lot from him. It was either Descent 2 or 3. And I remember you would have to like go into these asteroids and you're in this ship and you had to do all these goals and then you had to get out before it exploded. And every time I would watch my dad play, he would get so into it and he would get out. And as we'd be flying out of the asteroid, he would always be like, all right, hang on. And we'd go. And I remember being a kid being like, oh my
Yeah.
God. Like, yeah. And my dad, he used to be super into gaming.
He just dropped
And then,
cold turkey.
he just kind of, he didn't drop cold turkey. He kind of like he still likes app games and stuff, things like that. But like he just, he didn't really keep up. But
I have to think on what game fully like hooked me. But as far as mine's kind of similar to Kyle's of my dad got me originally into gaming because he had a Super Nintendo. I still have it. Still works. And he used to play Super Mario Bros. And I couldn't do anything. He had to give me lives all the time because I kept dying. We never beat the game. But so I played that a lot, and he had Aladdin on there. I had a Godzilla game. I think that was all the games I had. And then, so that was my first exposure to it, and I loved it. But as far as what hooked me, I would say it would either be maybe like Jack and Daxter or Sly Cooper.
Yeah.
One of those. But I feel like
Weird,
there's still probably
considering
some
those
earlier.
Are both of his names.
Yeah.
Personas.
Interesting.
Interesting.
But yeah, I would say either one of those. I don't know which one came first.
I want to say
But
Jack did.
see,
but
I played like Spider-Man on PS1, so I would have had to play that first. And I did like that game.
yeah, but maybe it wasn't like this is the one that hooked you.
So maybe there is something on PS1 that I just don't remember. Like I really liked Taifu, Cyndaquil. That's my favorite
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Dude, I was the beast with I was the bee's knees with her.
He
What was
oh,
the I can't
her,
never
he.
remember.
Whoa. Her?
It's definitely her.
Whoa. Mine was always a him.
No. Oh, that says a lot about you. I think that says a lot more about you than it does me.
So you want to have sex with animals?
Okay. That was very, very quick.
Okay, maybe Pokemon.
So
See, that's tough. I don't know which one is first.
Okay, so Spyro was first when I got hooked in that, but then I didn't own the game, so I couldn't get really hooked. But I had a Game Boy, and you could catch me grinding this game.
I was really into Pokemon.
Crystal, I think it was.
Silver.
And was it Silver with
Cyndaquil
Cyndaquil?
Silver.
Okay, then it was Silver. I feel like I remember my game cartridge, and it was not Silver, but
Silver and Gold?
I definitely did not play Gold.
No.
I don't know. Maybe Cyndaquil. I don't know. It was whatever Cyndaquil was the starter Pokemon option. I played her, and I single-handedly soloed that game with her.
You know, Crystal, I think you might be right. Crystal, so you know how they, well, you don't know this, but they used to have,
You would know.
they would have two generations, and then the one that would come after would be like the combined. So it was like Gold, Silver, and then Crystal was like both of them together, essentially.
Mm.
It had
This is what I owned.
Yeah. So
It
that
was this.
yeah. So that came
1,000,000%. Here, let me show you the screen. I owned this cartridge, and I burned it up.
Yep. Yeah,
My
the Game Boy Color.
God,
I
Game
remember.
Boy Color, that purple thing. I was changing the batteries on it every week. This is when I was mind blown that you could like transfer. You could like plug in that jank USB
And you could
transfer.
trade Pokemon?
You could trade Pokemon. I traded like some nothing burger to this sixth grader chick. Forget her name. No, start with an A. I don't remember.
Screwed her over.
And she had this like egg Pokemon, and he didn't have a set level that he would evolve. It was a range. And she was so tired of using him because he wasn't evolving. So I'm like, I'll take him. And I got him to evolve, and I never used him or whatever. But I was so
And there
into
she
this
is.
game.
Yeah.
There she is after all these years.
Does ASMR?
I don't know why she was
Pokemon.
like, because my mom was the school teacher, and I would just hang around the camp, the grade
Campus?
school,
Yeah.
and they would always hang out because they were like sixth graders, and I'm like, you guys play Pokemon?
with it.
Look at me, I'm over here hella good, you know. And yeah, I played the crap out of this game.
See, so I have a bunch of my memory is like a conglomeration of a bunch of games.
Yeah, I feel like it's not any one thing. I feel like it's an
'Cause Mass
amalgamation
Effect-
of moments.
Mass Effect was a huge moment for me,
Yeah.
especially that I randomly came upon it, and I was like, "Wow!"
What's the first game you remember your mom buying you? Since she's watching.
I don't know that. I mean,
My
any
parents
game.
never bought us games. It was only my grandpa.
I don't have memory of my mom buying me games. Like
Wow.
like an early game,
She's screaming.
but
right now.
anything like
I guarantee she's watching. She's like, God dang it, dude.
Spider-Man,
Dude, I buy you
PS1.
all your games.
Yeah, so it's like all of them were.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
so if you were-
everything before I got a job was not me.
but like, did they ever celebrate you? Like, we're going down to Best Buy right now, or wherever you bought them, and we're buying you that game. Or like, do you have any memory of that?
I don't have any
No?
memory of stuff like that. No.
I'll never
I was pretty
forget-
spoiled. I was an only child, so it was like, "Oh, let's go grocery shopping, and then do you want a toy, Dylan?" I was like, "Yes, yes, I do."
What was the name of that stupid ass car game that I had? It was like
Driver,
yeah, it was like a silver car.
Spy
like-
Hunter.
Spy Hunter. Dumb game. Terrible. I'll never forget this secondhand embarrassment that I got. Like, my dad was so pissed off, grumpy in this era of his life. And, like, he was so pissed that I was asking to buy a game. And, like, he felt like he'd spent enough money, whatever bullshit. So he's in, like, a humgrum kind of attitude mode. And he's a different guy back then. And I'll never
For
forget.
the testosterone.
He's over here like, let's get you this game. This game looks fun. Like, I didn't get to choose. Okay. He picks Spy Hunter. Okay. And then he's asking, like, every person in the aisle, is this game good for kids? There's no, like, nudity or cursing or anything. Like, and he's like, you know, and I'm standing there like, I feel like I'm 3.5 years old. And I'm like, oh my God, get out of the store. Like, I don't even want this stupid fucking game. What is this shit? Spy Hunter. So lame. What are we doing? That was like the only game he ever bought me. Yeah, that was the end of
well,
that.
that's
That
a
was
memory for you for the wrong reason.
Yeah, see,
so
I don't
bad.
have any.
And he was just, I remember him just being in a pissed off mood. And I was like, my brother and I had a Game Shark in our hand. We're like, dude, it's got all the cheats here, man. Like, we need this, Dad. He's like, no. Put that shit back on the shelf. Yeah, you play the game that I buy you. Okay, Dad. All right. So we bought Spy Hunter. That game sucked. Okay, that was a terrible game, man. God
Oh,
dang! I just
God.
remember the stupid silver, future car. On
What
there.
was your favorite arcade game as a kid?
like? What do you mean?
Like at an arcade?
Whatever that one was.
Gauntlet.
The Gauntlet. That
Yeah.
was the only one I
Gauntlet
really remember.
Dark Legacy.
Which didn't we think about playing it as like a
Because they released
crossplay?
Gauntlet Slayer Edition, which is like crossplay.
Yeah.
Like, I say modern, like within the last 10 years. But
Yeah,
we thought about it.
yeah, we thought about it because it was crossplay and it was had a couple things. That was the only one I really remember getting into, but I was never.
I think I was still. We were still part of the generation that like still got just excited, like as excited about like toys and stuff though,
Yeah.
too. Like I have a lot of fond memories of like there was this Hot Wheels set called like Shark Park, and the whole thing is the Hot Wheel like went up and went around and it jumped over this shark that would like come up and like pretend to eat it.
Uh huh.
And
Is it this thing?
no,
Yes.
look up Hot Wheels Shark Park. And I remember, yeah, that one right there. My mom bought that for my parents, but my mom bought that for me for Christmas. And I remember feeling like such elation. like this is the greatest gift.
I remember you having this.
And you would put the car here and you'd press it and it would slowly go up on the left side here. It would go down, it would swing, and then it would go through the shark. And when it hit that like trap door, the shark would clench its jaw
you had
down.
to be hauling.
Yeah, and so like, and I remember being so happy that I got this, but this was also the first time in my life that I experienced like true disappointment. Because
The toy sucked.
the toy itself was so incredibly basic. And I remember as a kid watching the trailers and they had like shitty animation, the shark coming up and like grabbing it, and the car's like racing, like Shark Park. And like it was like all in adrenaline. I remember I got it and I opened it. I was like, oh my God, I opened it, I put it, and I saw it go through once. And I was like, oh.
Yeah,
like
that's it.
that's
Let's do that
all it
20
is.
more times.
And I used to call it the shark bark because I thought the shark was barking. I never heard the P. I thought it was literally called shark bark. Yeah.
Do you know what? This isn't a toy, but you know what is the single greatest disappointment as a kid to experience a day of?
What?
Water balloon fights.
I loved water balloon fights.
I thought they were
Water
fun.
balloon fights suck so much. The reason being, you spend 2 hours getting the water balloons ready. You put them in a thing, and then half of them are popping on you anyway. You tie them off. You hurt your fingers, doing it, and then you go and you play, and you miss half your other shots. So you really land like 2 or 3 water balloons. and it takes you all day to execute on that. It's tragic.
So I remember, I'm going to tell this story, and Billy's probably not going to have any recollection of it.
you didn't-
I don't
yeah.
remember this,
I was not there.
but we were having a water gun fight, like in the
Water
neighborhood.
gun fight?
Water gun fight. And it was me and Matthew versus you and Austin, of course. And like maybe like Emmanuel was there and stuff, but like primarily it was the four of us going at it. And I remember you had put like milk in the squirt gun because you wanted to like I don't really make like this is gonna
Milk?
yeah you're like
Okay.
it's gonna fuck them up. So you did that. You put milk in it, and then you hit Matthew, and Matthew was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "I think it's milk." And to be fair, we don't even really know what it was. Maybe you like, but it wasn't like pure water.
Yeah,
There was something in it that you thought was like, this is hilarious. So Matthew and I, we went inside like my house and we put vinegar and like milk and like cooking wine and like put every nasty shit we could find. And we shot you. It hit you right in the face. And then you were like, for like 10 minutes, you were like saying how you couldn't see. What the fuck?
I have no recollection.
And we were like, we were like panicking because we were like, oh my God.
Did we blind him with cooking wine?
He's blind. and then you ended up being fine. And then like 10 minutes later, your mom, it had to have been milk because then like 10 minutes later, your mom came out and she's like, are you guys messing with my milk? And we just played dumb. We were like, no, what? No. And she didn't believe us, but she didn't have enough proof to really like, so she was
Key
like,
in on it.
and like went inside. And I just remember this because like we thought we had actually blinded you because it hit you in your
Probably
eye.
was milk.
That's why he has glasses.
You're right, dude. It messed up my vision permanently.
We were like at the oldest, maybe like 10.
Well, have
And
you seen
we were probably more like 8. You were like maybe 10.
the water guns that we had then? Sucked. Have you seen the water guns that they have now? Mm-hmm. Dude, they're like electronic.
Have you seen the jelly pellet things they have?
Yeah, they shoot like the Orbeez type thing.
Oh, that's kind of annoying.
Yeah, and you make it wet, and it's like this, and then
They do pop.
yeah,
But that's a lot of littering, right? Or
I
do
think
the-
they're
do those
biodegradable.
they do?
It's like it dissolves in water or something. Like I don't know how it dissolves, but it's biodegradable.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's like that, then I don't mind it. But I just Orbeez are like a cancer. I just see them everywhere, and it's like ugh. Yeah. But the new ones now, you can like. Before you had the little fucking, you had to open the tank and then you had to barely screw,
Yep.
It was small hole and yep, boom, 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 boom. Now they're electronic, and you can just like straight up put it into the water and like super fast. So you just need a bucket of water. I mean, that is going to be some good fun when I have kids and just start going all out on that stuff because that is just so much better experience than what we did with water balloons. God, I just remember sitting at the tub in my laundry room just, shit, I dropped it. Hold on, guys. You can only go so fast, and you're trying to get it around the nipple on the sink, and it splits on you, and damn it, man. All right. And you can only get the small.
so hard for him. I remember doing it
You
for
can only
my
get
birthdays.
we only bought the small freaking things.
I had like the grenade ones. I'd be outside to fill up a bucket full. It was a short-lived fun, but I never was like, oh, fuck.
Wait, guys. I was the oldest, so I was doing that shit.
Your impression of your childhood self is like a 65-year-old grumpy man.
I probably was. I felt like it. I just remember thinking, like, this kind of sucks, man. It's going to be 20 minutes of, like, have fun. I'm going to miss all my shots. And then the other times, when you do hit them, it don't break. They pop on the ground. And you're like, oh.
My dad, growing up, he was always like trying to think of like out of the box weird things for those types of games. And I remember like we were having a water balloon fight, and he's like, oh, I can make you like cool armor so you don't get wet. And then he like He like maybe this thing was like a mixture of like garbage bags and stuff. And he's like, you gotta wear it. I remember I was like, Dad, I don't want to wear that. I was having to get made fun of.
So you had your own spy hunter moment.
But the opposite is my dad was trying to
Like help you, not
like he
bring you
went too
down.
far the other way.
You need to be cool, son, and spy hunter's cool. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But my dad, he was always like coming up with stuff like that. And looking back on it, I'm more fond of it now, obviously.
Sure. Yeah, my spy hunter was not. I'm not fond of that story.
Come on, son.
Yeah,
Do you
never.
have the appendix bursting story? Straight up.
Yeah, I know.
Come on, son. See, you're embarrassing me. Got a appendix ready to burst. Come on, son.
Bent
Embarrassing
over
me.
in pain.
You really can't stand up? Jesus Christ. All right. Somebody help this kid. Sorry, Dad.
I'm sorry.
I'm embarrassing. Yeah, your son needs critical surgery right now. Oh, okay. He's not faking it. All right. Jesus Christ, Dad.
The only one I can remember, I'm sure there's others, was one day my dad was driving me to school and they were doing construction on the road. I remember where too. It's on Shadow Mountain, right when you're coming up and there's that
Oh yeah.
side off. And they were having this, I don't know what happened. I was a kid, but I remember he stopped and he yelled at the lady, and then she like cusses and he's like, "Don't you fucking cuss. My kid's right here, you fucking." And I was like,
My kid's right here saying it way worse.
He's off hard.
and I was just sitting there like,
oh, shit. Not now.
God, Dad.
Not like this. Oh, man.
the appendix.
At least that doesn't even have anything to do with you. You're adjacent to that story.
I'm trying to think of if there's any that had to do with me. I'm sure there was. I'm sure. Well, like one time I was too young to realize it, but so I don't like American cheese. Like growing up.
Weirdo.
Well, the weird thing as a toddler or as like when I was young, I loved it. And
You
then
weren't corrupted yet.
I wasn't corrupted by.
Do you like
the
Cheese
system.
Whiz now? Just a quick question.
Cheese Whiz is all right.
Okay.
On crackers. I'm not like, one
Yeah,
of those guys.
I can't say I've even had Cheese Whiz in the last decade, but
But so he gets me a Porta Subs sandwich, and it had American cheese on it. And I was like, I don't want to eat that.
ooh,
Ooh,
bad
yeah,
move.
bad move. And then he stormed out. And my mom was in the shower. She's like, wasn't he here? And I was like, yeah, but there was cheese on my sandwich.
You sound like you're just a spoiled kid.
I was.
Just-
I was.
I always had a hard time eating stuff too, except for when I was at the Saul's
Givers.
Givers. I was
I got a
because
million
when
stories
I was
to
at your
tell.
house, like I just for one, I was told that
They
if
got
you're
the snack drawer.
well, no, I was told like when you're a guest, even if you don't like, you have to finish it. That was like the rule. And your parents are much more like, you eat what's in front of you type of thing. And so I wasn't interested in ruffling any feathers, you know what I mean? So I always ate everything when I was there.
Societal pressure made you eat.
Look at these guys. They're eating. Holy shit.
And then, but yeah, I definitely, I used to be way more picky when I was younger than I am
God,
now.
yeah.
I got gasoline in my eye once.
Is your dad?
No.
Hold your eye open.
Yeah.
This is gonna learn today.
No, I was hanging out
Squirt gun.
with my friends, and we were passing by a
It's all
trailer,
plastic.
and there was a gas can in there, and it was a hot day,
Ooh, it just squirted at you.
pressurized.
Yep.
We do it right in my eye.
That hurt, huh?
I was more freaked out than anything, but it didn't. It was fine. The stupidest thing I ever did though was when I was young, probably too young to have a lighter. My mom hands me a lighter. She says, "Can you light the candles?" And she goes out in the garage. So this is also a fault on her end.
Give a kid a lighter.
On the table, there's some fake flowers next to the candles.
Jesus.
My brain, I'm like, I wonder if fake flowers
Can
catch
burn.
on fire like real flowers. Ends up they catch on fire better.
Yeah, well, a lot better.
Yeah. Flowers are hard to burn.
They're wet.
So I do it. I'm like,
You're like giving it oxygen, like giving it air, like making it bigger.
and then my mom comes in. Oh my god!
What the hell's that smell?
Like,
It's like,
"Ah."
yeah. And you're a kid and you're like lighting a match in your room or something like. How easy is it to? Oh yeah. Oh shit! It stinks. Yeah. Damn it.
I always like put things out with my fingers. I
Yep.
thought I was so cool. I was like,
You're like,
Yep. Where I used to, because when I worked at a restaurant, we had actual candles we would light, and so I always had matches on me, just so many matches in my house, and you could break off the whole pack, and then you'd be like, to get the whole thing, and just watch it burn, like whoa, I always was doing
back
that.
when you were making real money.
Real money, dude. For a 21-year-old kid, man, that was quality dime. Tips, man.
tips.
Also, when you were first at the first restaurant you worked at, we weren't working. Yeah, we thought
Yeah, I
this
mean,
guy was just rolling in it.
If I just had $100 in my pocket,
made
I
him
was,
buy
I was
everything.
the wealthiest man on the block.
You buy the chips. You'd be like, don't worry about it, guys. I got it.
You bought $75 worth.
It was.
of
I think it
junk-
was 73.
$73 worth of junk food for a
Gatorade
3-day bender in my parents' camper.
in mid-July.
It was hot, miserable. Like no.
And we played Call of Duty campaigns. Why? I don't know.
I don't know. Who
I
knows?
did at least. I don't know what you guys were doing.
No,
but-
me and you did. Matthew, that was when he was like heavy into online. He was playing like Woogie Man and stuff.
Yeah.
And our router was right in that room right
So you
there.
were
So
accessible,
like
yours was overheating, right?
yeah, I mean it was the PS3. The thing overheated terribly.
Sound like a jet engine taking off.
Yes.
I remember we were playing Dark Souls 2. Even though the PS4 had already come out at this point, it only released on PS3 at that point for some reason.
Yeah, I know, right?
And I remember we were all playing Dark Souls 2 on the PS3s, and my PS3 was so loud that it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. And I don't know, we're like 18, 19, around there. It's like 3 or 4 in the morning, and your mom came downstairs, and she's like, "Can you do something about that? That's very annoying." And I was just kind of like, "Sorry."
Are you vacuuming or what?
It was just like so loud.
I just played with the PS3 this week, so I was watching home videos on DVD, and I put it into my PS3, and I had a cabinet.
You're like, "Oh, I guess I still have a DVD player."
Yeah, I know. I have a cabinet that you can close.
Oh no.
The motherfucker was screaming.
Yeah.
I'm like, just to play a DVD? Like, is it that dang hard? This thing was cooking.
Help.
Yeah. It's like, I haven't been running forever. Now I'm going back to the mines.
All the dust just melting into it. Like,
I was like,
Lighting
what
on
the
fire.
hell? Dude, yeah. I don't even have a CD. Like, it was at my parents' house, and that's their DVD players, the PS3.
it's
boot
so
that thing up.
loud when you're just watching DVD.
Just turn up the audio louder,
That's such like an old person
Boomer.
thing to do.
Boomer attitude.
Oh, you just turn it up. Dude, okay, I got a question for you in regards to like the difference between me and my parents. With movies, are you more okay with watching junk movies? Like bad? Or do you put a lot of weight in the value of the movie? I know you probably do.
Oh, dude,
Value.
I hate shit movies.
They'll just turn on something.
No.
And I'm like, no, this is going to be garbage.
If I'm just looking to veg or something, like I just sit and I don't give a shit what's on, I don't really care. But if I'm like looking for a movie,
No,
'cause
looking
they have
for a
cable,
movie.
right?
Yeah.
So that's different because you never catch it
No.
at the beginning, so you don't really. Not
They
that
do it on
invested.
like the streaming
Oh, I
services.
can't do that, no.
And it bugs me because I'm like, this movie's going to suck.
Yeah.
Like, just because it has your favorite actor doesn't mean it's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's got Bruce Willis. It's not.
Do you want to know? You want to know the difference between me and my? This is primarily my mom, but my dad feels the same way. This irked me my whole life so hard, and my mother still to this day will do it when she comes over to my house, and if we're watching a movie or something like that, she refuses to watch a movie in the dark.
Oh, really?
If the TV's on, the lights are on. You do not watch the television when the lights are off. It's a weird thing. It's not because she's scared. It has nothing to do with that. It's just a quirk of hers. And my dad is like kind of the same way. Like, why are you turning the fucking lights off, man? It's fucking not bedtime. And 2 minutes later, on the fucking couch, zonked out. You're
With
like,
the lights
Jesus
on?
Christ. What are you guys even doing?
I don't
anyway?
know. I think I'm opposite of you guys.
Really?
Like, I'm just a fan of movies in general that even bad movies I'll sit through and watch, and I don't need to like research everything about a movie before watching. Like if I watch the trailer and it looks semi-interesting, I'm like, okay.
Like, you also like Neil Brennan.
I like really bad films. I like films that are so bad they're good. Is
that his name?
Neil Breen.
Breen.
Yeah. I like, but I also like quality movies.
Yeah.
I can find enjoyment in movies in general, and I don't typically like to game or watch things in the dark. Only time I think I've ever done that is with you guys, because I have a tendency of like either falling asleep or it like increases my melatonin.
And so you're not as invested because you're
like
kind
the
of
chemicals.
drifting away.
I don't know enough
You're
about the
drifting away.
science behind it to explain it, but my chemical levels change when the lights out, and I don't enjoy it as much. Weirdly, because I'm okay at movie theaters. I don't know why I'm okay at movie theaters, but if I'm
Maybe
at
it's so
home,
bright.
It's the environment.
if I'm at home, I have to have the lights on.
Maybe it's
I
so
have
bright too.
a specific light in my room that I use. Like I can't use the other lights. It has to be this one light. It's the one above my bed because of the like the shade of light. I don't know. The other ones are too bright and too harsh.
Well, you guys remember when before we did the live streams, I would turn off these lights. I don't like the light on.
We used to record everything in the dark. Yeah,
This close from each other.
yeah there'd be one mic.
Hot breath and all. But my
During
ultimate
COVID.
setup, my stuff is so bright, but my ultimate setup for all my life was with my PC. I'd have all the lights off, and then I had this lamp that I
I
would
think it's
fire.
a PC gaming thing.
Yes,
It's a cave dweller.
100%.
Cave dweller mentality.
100%. Back when monitors sucked, because this is 2010, 11, I had a lamp behind my monitors that I'd click on, and it would just provide enough backlight to where it wasn't just like that, and that's what I would game as.
I look back on like some of the unreasonable things I did when I was a teenager, like late teens, between like 17 to like 20. And I think like I remember I used to always game on the living room TV. I would just hog that thing for like hours.
Like 6 p.m.?
Yeah, I'd be gaming, just
Yeah.
like hogging that. My parents would like go upstairs if they wanted to watch something. They go up to their room,
Get
and
to your
watch
room.
it. And I remember like I would be upset if like things were happening, interrupting my game. And like I look back on it now, I'm like, what a dick! Like I would be so mad.
Especially considering how many
Like,
rooms are available in that
yeah,
house.
like I never gamed in my room.
Never.
Like, I
I was
finally,
never in my bedroom.
I finally ended up like buying a monitor when I was like maybe like 20 years old. I bought this one actually, the one that we use here. It was $250 at launch. It was like 15 when we bought it at Goodwill.
I was going to say, wasn't it even 15?
I had
Didn't even have a power cable.
I
to be
have this
forgot.
exact monitor. It's literally we still have it. My wife uses it now. But anyways, I bought that for like $250 with like my Dairy Queen money. You're the one that helped me buy it because you're like, I'm going with you because I'll tell you the good
one.
stuff.
That's a good one. At the time, it probably was. It is.
I mean, yeah, this is like 2013 or something like that when it came out. So that's when I finally started to like game in a more private setting. But like all the years I played like Call of Duty and like Mass Effect and like Skyrim and all, I was just playing in the living room.
Yeah.
No regard for anyone. Like volume up. I didn't even have a headset on.
Did you?
Like,
Yeah,
what it
that's
made
true.
Mass Effect that much more risky. The sex scenes. You're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah. I remember like
I don't want to skip, but
I'm in the living room.
I remember I was playing Uncharted 2 in the living room. This game came out in 2009, so I was like 14. And there's a scene where Chloe comes up and he like picks her up and she puts her legs around him. and then they slowly fall to the bed, and then he kind of like lays there and like gives her a pat on the butt, and it's like pretty
a nothing
mild
burger.
stuff, you know. It's not like anything, but I remember I kept looking over to like make sure that my mom, because she was sitting like at the dinner table, and I kept looking over to make sure she wasn't watching.
Volume down,
And
volume
then
down.
the
volume down.
moment I felt like she was gonna start watching, I just like skipped the cutscene because I didn't want any excuse for her to be like, "You can't play that."
In Uncharted 3, what was the other girl's name?
Well, there's Elena, Chloe,
Leia?
Elena.
Elena.
Those are the two.
She was
girls.
smoking hot, right?
Yeah, I
Elena's
mean,
the blonde one.
if you like
Wait, what?
blondes, Chloe's the one that
Dark hair.
had the dark hair.
Oh, I'm thinking
with
of
the
Chloe. That's
Australian
the one.
accent.
Yes.
Yeah.
That chick was. That was awesome.
I still remember. I don't remember which game, but I remember my mom being like, "What are you doing?" As like I think it was like Grand Theft Auto,
God.
and
Oh, God,
like
yeah.
killing people or something. She's like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to do it for the story. It's
I remember playing Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. I was like 10 when that game came out, and you could hit people with your skateboard and like graffiti. And I remember like I did that,
Tagging.
and like for like a week, my mom actually like told me I couldn't play it anymore, and then like she like backed and she was like, it was whatever. It's like she gave up on that pretty quickly. But I remember like being so disappointed because I was like, one of the missions is some guy steals your gear and you have to like go hit him with your skateboard. It's like so stupid.
Well, I gamed on the family PC, which was just straight up in the living room, and I had the world's think of like shitty CD headsets, you know. I had that with like a little bullshit flip, mic or whatever, and yeah, dude, I was rocking and rolling with that, and so I played I probably put 2,000 hours in the living room. And if somebody had to like kick me off of the computer to pay bills, I was like,
were you
guys,
ever
I can't play tonight.
Dave
Damn it. I'm going to miss like 4 missions, Dad. Come on.
Do you remember being called a squeaker? Were you ever called a squeaker?
I was
when
called
you're
a
that
lot worse.
in between phase.
I was called
Yeah.
a lot worse.
That's when I started to play like Halo,
We don't need to relive
Halo
that.
3.
But see, here's the difference. Halo, you're joining lobbies that no one gives a shit about.
Yeah.
I only talked to people that were like in my guild, so I was already like in. So they extended a hand. They were like, "Oh, this guy's cool." So he's one
The
of us.
worst lobbies. Halo was pretty bad, but Call of
I
Duty
made a lot of
lobbies-
friends on Halo.
Call of Duty lobbies were brutal.
Once they saw I was a
It
good
was hard
gamer,
to survive in those days.
once they saw I was
Impossible.
a skilled gamer, they're like, "Oh, this squeaker's actually pretty good." I was like, "Hey, yeah, guys, I'm pretty good."
Oh yeah. I didn't have that benefit.
Dude,
I was
how
always
fucking old are you?
I was always just an average player when it came to like competitive games. So like I didn't have that. Like I couldn't,
Well, I feel like there was a real dichotomy of players online, especially like in MMO. You had a lot of people who were like 30, and you had a lot of people my age. Like it was a young scene. It really was. So it was kind of, I don't know, like playing an MMO, I think is just a much more mature experience. I never felt like when I joined an online chat lobby.
I know.
all the time.
It's a much more mature experience. For
No,
us more
I
refined-
played Call of Duty. I know what that bullshit's like. But when you're joining like an MMO and you're in a guild and like you go through and like you've been doing missions and all of a sudden you jump on chat, like they know who you are, they know you're fine at the game or
more
whatever. Yeah, it's a acquired taste.
Only the
back in
mature.
back in the day when
definitely
you played Call of
decades.
Duty and you were forced, if you used a mic, you just had to talk to the whole lobby.
I know.
There was no private chat. Like
It was a different world.
we used to like we'd go in and we'd just mute everybody except for the people you wanted to play with.
Remember going in and finding out, like, as soon as everybody in the lobby found out there was a girl,
Oh,
Oh, and they would all
it
immediately.
was so weird.
Yeah.
is that a girl? Oh my god!
Nope, just a prepubescent boy. Like,
Same difference.
it's the same thing. God.
Oh man, that shit was brutal. We didn't make it to our headline topic today, but
What
What was
was
our
that?
headline?
I didn't even know we had one.
it was the. I wanted
Future
to
of
comment on.
console
The
I want to talk
future
more
of
about console gaming. Yeah. I
Oh,
wanna
we
talk
gotta
about
change that title.
Yeah.
Well, we'll save it for next week. But any last minute questions here from the chat, from the peanut gallery?
From the peanut.
Because
gallery.
you guys, I blame you guys for derailing us as hard as we did. 'Cause now we're just talking about childhood memories. And
Do you have like? I know we were talking about like moments that made us realize, oh, we're gamers. But like, do you have like experiences in gaming where it was like aha moments? We're like, oh, so this is what gaming can be.
Mass Effect,
Was it Mass
the
Effect?
first one.
holding the Hall of Heroes with my guild for the first time.
You say that with such reverence.
Holding the Hall of Heroes.
Because that at Guild
I
Wars
don't even
Wars
like
1's
Guild Wars that much, and I felt like I felt that the way that you said that. Like,
holding, because that was the pinnacle of PvP in that game, and Guild Wars 1 at its peak was like the second most popular game, second to World of Warcraft.
right.
When you hold halls, that was a fucking journey that you went on. And to do that, you were like the best skilled on the server that night. And oh my god, when you do that, it sends that notification to everyone on the game. You're just like, yes. Yeah. And that to me was like the apex moment for me in gaming.
Playing Last of Us 1 and having the game give me enough emotion that I teared up when his daughter dies in the first 5 minutes. That blew my mind.
Whoa.
Yeah, because I was like, whoa. I was like,
Yeah.
just the acting, like,
That came out later too.
yeah, well, that was Naughty Dog really stepped up the game as far as
2013,
acting
so-
and like motion capture.
Was it really 2013?
Yeah.
That's later than
Last
I
of
thought.
Us is
or
over
earlier. Earlier.
Last
than
of Us
I
is
thought.
over 10 years old already.
And that's really when like motion capture in gaming started to get pretty decent.
That was actually Last of Us. It's been remade so many times people forget. But the first Last of Us was like the swan song of the PS3.
1,000,000%.
It was like their final goodbye
Yes.
was the PS3.
Yeah, and then and even the ending in Last of Us was a big thing for me because it's the ambiguity and like I mean I'm sure I did. I don't remember it, but I don't think I ever had a game that left me that like whoa. Like it leaves a hole, in your chest when
The
you
first 5 minutes?
no, the
or-
ending. When, Joel lies to Ellie and you know he's lying. And then it's like, "Oh, that's the end." Like you're boom.
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh,
It should have ended there.
It probably could have.
could have."
They needed it too.
Yeah. Greed kind of always wins out,
Yeah.
I think. Uncharted was built to be like a franchise. The way it was made, it's just like it was born.
It's
to be
Indiana
that.
Jones.
Yeah, just gonna say that.
Yeah, Uncharted, Last of Us, not really built the same way. I feel like it could have been a one and done.
Another like Mountain Peak moment of gaming. Mountain Peak moment.
Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore for me would be like BioShock. That was the first scary game I played. It's not even that scary, but I remember I rented it from Blockbuster. Was too scared by the opening, returned it. A few months, years later, I rented it again, finally beat it, love it to death. Became one of my favorites. But that was the first, I was like, okay, you can do this, Don.
I'm gonna overcome this.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, Knights of the Old Republic, when it's revealed that you were Darth Revan with his mind wiped the whole time, I was a kid when that came out. And I remember feeling like that was a very big moment for me. Like thinking like I've been playing as the bad guy this whole time. Like that was a huge thing. Skyrim, that was the first like open world game that I played. So like when you first like the Unbound or whatever, after you deal with the dragon, you walk out and then you were just like there. Nowadays that doesn't hit as hard because there's so many open world games with much more well-developed worlds than Skyrim. But first time I ever played that, I remember like that was my first experience with that type of thing. And I remember thinking like, this is incredible. This is insane that this is happening. And I had played the first Red Dead before Skyrim, so that was a big open world too. But I think it's just not. It's like just like a big open desert, so
There's
it's
not really
as
much
like impactful as like this huge fantasy world.
Something that definitely, bless you,
Thank you.
was like hugely impactful to the DNA of what I like, Vermeer on Mass Effect.
Yeah,
When all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm choosing who lives and dies.
yeah.
Like, I had never experienced a game give you that much
Player.
free player choice,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that hooked me. I was
I
like, I
played-
like games like this.
I played Mass Effect 2 before Mass Effect 1.
Uh-huh.
And then after I played Mass Effect 2, I then went back. But for me, it was the suicide mission. And I did really shitty, actually. First time I played through, I went through it so fast. I skipped half the loyalty
I think
missions.
Rex died in mine.
Rex wasn't even alive in mine because I didn't import. So I was playing with like Reeve. And like, but I had no frame of
Yeah.
reference on
Yeah.
why that, 'cause
Mattered.
why that mattered, And I do like I survived at the end with like Shepard and like 4 squad mates. That's it. Everyone else died, and I wasn't even thinking about who I was sending to do what. Like Jacob was like, "I volunteer," and I was like, "All right, well then you're going," and like just stuff like that. And I do remember like that final jump when he like it's like slow motion and he like catches the thing and he gets pulled up. I do remember immediately like my adrenaline was like super high, feeling like this is incredible, and I immediately went and got Mass Effect 1, played through that, and then played 2 again, all within like a week of beating Mass Effect 2 the first time, because I was like, I have to. What am I missing on the first game? And so that was a big moment for me too. And I love that Kirih's speech, the hold the line, like. So there's lots of things like that. Another big moment for me in gaming, which is funny because this game isn't even in my top 10 of like games, but for a different reason, another like moment that I hold very fondly is our first Warzone victory. I don't know what it was about that, but that first
just
Warzone
hit.
victory was
Well,
it was like a high.
It was earned. It
Hunkered
felt
out.
earned
Yeah.
because we
In a shed.
had
4 of us.
tried so hard to get it.
Yeah. We played like bitches.
Yeah.
Like,
And
But-
we got it.
we didn't have any perks, no classes, and we won. We
That
did
was
it.
the best. Yeah, that was such
Getting
a
in
fun
that
VR.
helicopter and getting pulled in, and it
felt
like
so epic.
like it just was like, yeah, we deserve to be here. And it was funny because like ever since that moment, anytime I played that game, it was me chasing that
Yeah,
That
high, and I never quite had it again after that. That was a kind of a one and done situation for me.
I remember we won like a couple weeks after that. We won like 3 out of 5 games.
Yeah.
That
And
felt
was-
good too.
That
but
was
it,
insane.
it didn't for some reason like it felt good and it was awesome, but it didn't reach that peak.
No,
Like of that first win.
and it's and now that game is just something totally else. It's figured out. That's the problem. It's a known quantity.
Do you have any others, Billy? Gaming moments?
Oh boy, I mean they're all. I mean like raiding for sure in Guild Wars 2. Taking down. I remember taking down Veil Guardian and Gorseball for the first time, and like it wasn't necessarily a race. It was just. I remember how much effort we put into it because raids were coming out. It was the first 10-man content in that game. Everything had been up to that point was 5-man content. So we were literally spreadsheeting how. I mean, down to the gnat's ass in that game. Like, what's damage going to look like? What are we doing for boons? How are we going to manage like boon up time? And we had all these roles covered. We were theory crafting for months. We had primary roles, backup roles we needed to flip depending on what mechanics were going to be thrown at us. We had nothing. We had no idea. We went in, and the first week we cleared the full the wing 1, and that was to do that with your guildmates after hours of pushing and pushing and pushing and trying to beat these bosses and get a little bit better and get a little bit better and get a little bit better. God, man, it was just so satisfying and fun when you.
I imagine it would feel like a more amped up version of that Warzone high.
Yes,
Like it's like that. Like,
and for me, like personal achievement is fun, but when you get to have that shared experience of a team. Oh man, that's great because then you could talk about it. Remember how like that
I think
Warzone, I get to
also-
share in that with you. And
what
that's
was special
fun.
about that Warzone, which is probably similar to what you're talking about with Guild Wars, is that was the first win for all of us.
Yes,
Yeah.
All 4 of us were playing.
Nick
that
was
night.
there with us.
Yeah, Nick was there with us. That was like the last time we ever played. He was like, "I'm done." Like,
got it. I'm out.
yeah.
That's funny, actually.
But that was like
Were you still buff midget suck? When we
at
did
that point?
one?
Yeah,
I think so.
I don't
That's-
think you transitioned.
Which means I was
to
on
PC yet.
controller.
Yeah.
Shit.
Another moment in gaming that like made me like, as far as like storytelling goes, that made me like, oh man, so like this is what you could do with this medium, was in Witcher 3, with the mission with the Bloody Baron.
Oh,
And you're doing that spell to heal his or keep his unnamed daughter from transforming into like that terrible beast, and instead turn into that like navigator ghost thing. And then like him going through talking about like how he had beat his wife, and then she had a miscarriage, and he didn't know what to do, so he buried it without a name, and like
You hate this guy.
yeah like and you feel like the emotions in that. I remember storytelling wise playing that set of missions and like being like, oh my God, like this is unlike anything I've ever experienced in gaming before. Like this is really good. At least in open world gaming. Like you had stuff like that before, like good stories like Last of Us and things like that. But like this was the first time I saw that done well in an environment in a game like that. Where I was like, okay, you don't need to sacrifice like good stories to have an open world, because Skyrim was cool, but like that story is like, does anyone remember like any of the like was there any story moments in that game where you're like, wow, this story is something else?
I love when I beat the dragon and
Hey, you're awake. That's the only story that they remember.
took an arrow to
you're
the
finally
knee.
awake. I can name so many things like
Overlord?
Cyberpunk when you the Nomad ending, when you're finally sitting on the tank and he's like, all good, Pan Am, we're going home, and he drops that bullet that he's been carrying with him the whole time.
See, that's why I love choice games so much, is I get so sucked into the story that at those moments in it, it's unlike other feelings for me of like, it's like this elation of like, I don't know, satisfying, and not satisfying, but just, wow, that was a really well written story.
It's a different kind of feeling though than the peak of like an accomplishment of like what you're talking about. That's a totally different thing. I can't even compare the two. Like the experiences are so different.
Well, it's so funny to hear, because it feels like you're along for the ride. You know, like the story's guiding you for that. The Baron or the the Cyberpunk, the story's drawing you in.
Well, and like the thing with that is it's a combination of, for me at least, in Cyberpunk specifically, that's the most recent one I can remember. You have, at the same point that the story is crescendoing, you have the soundtrack kick in, and those are usually the songs that I add to my Spotify, because it's like there's a huge emotional impact. Yeah. So like Suicide Mission from Mass Effect. That when he, wakes up, when Shepard gets up and he has the thing on him and he's running.
Yeah, and then your two companions. I always bring Garrus and Tally.
Even though they're like the strongest, the ones you don't
I always
take.
am like, I will figure out a way for them to survive without Garrus and Tally, because I need my bro and my hoe.
I can't bring my hoe on mine.
Yeah, Mass Effect 2, like...
A lot of bangers.
Like Overlord, Overlord. It was a DLC.
Yeah, with the kid that they were trying to
interface with the
Geth, and at the end when he's like all chained up and he's crying or whatever, and he keeps saying that one math problem over and over again. That was a heartbreaker for sure.
Like,
You're
whoa,
oh my god. Do you remember Overlord Mass Effect? He almost skipped it. He's like, "Can I just play Mass Effect 3?" No, you're like, "No, you gotta play these DLCs."
Is that the where you're on the ship?
You're in the little. It's a lot of the
like
the Phoenix, or what is that? What's that?
The Hammerhead.
Hammerhead.
Yeah. That's the one where
the floaty vehicle.
The lead scientist brother's like a savant, like autistic savant, and they're like trying to make him interface directly with the Geth, and then they're uploading like his brain to it or whatever, and then he freaks out and makes all the Geth go haywire and attack the facility, and you have to save the kid.
And the whole time he's like yelling at you, but you don't understand.
That sounds.
You're fighting against him the whole time until you realize that he's just a scared kid.
Yeah. He's literally like 14 or something.
Yeah, and his voice changes the closer you get, right?
Yeah,
like
David Archer.
You start to realize it's a kid.
Yeah, because at first it's like,
yeah,
and then eventually you start to hear like, brother, or whatever he's saying.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
Yeah, that one was sad for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it is a different thing because it's the story, the music. They suck me into the world itself, and it's like at that point I'm fully immersed.
Yeah.
Versus like the high of the multiplayer games, the Warzone, that's a shared experience and that's so cool. But it's not like, man, I love the story of Warzone and
This is so beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I
it's because
just-
we won together.
Yeah.
It feels
But
good.
that's the only time I've
value
ever stood up.
accomplishment, Yeah.
Yeah, I've ever like after gaming. That's the only game I've ever played that when that happened, that actually made me stand up and start screaming.
You're like, yeah,
I don't even know why. I was just like, yeah. It was like midnight, and Tori runs out. She's like, "What's going on?"
I just won.
Like, yeah,
50
I was, like,
people.
screaming.
I won Warzone, baby.
It was so good. So like you don't beat Mass Effect and like yeah, start screaming and like
It's a different experience, though.
Yeah.
See,
But you value it.
a weird intersect is like Elden Ring. Because I don't feel like I was sucked into the story in the same aspect. I think the story is fascinating in certain ways, but it's almost it almost has a more PvP multiplayer high of like, yes, I beat him. Fuck.
Yeah.
You know,
single player
But-
experience. It has that high.
It's so muted compared to the things that I compared that to because,
yeah,
like, I don't think Elden Ring doesn't even thinking about it in relation to holding halls or beating my first raid boss. It's not even close in terms of
Yeah.
not even difficult, but just like in terms of my brain, and maybe it's because I'm by myself. Maybe, like I said, it's that for me, it's the team accomplishment.
shared.
Yeah, because I would never be like, I'm on new game +8 on Elden Ring. Like, it's who gives a shit? But
Go ahead.
and you do feel that when you kill one of those bosses for the first, like Melania. You beat
you
it
feel a little bit,
but
but it's like a weird mixture.
It is muted for sure in comparison. I also feel like I felt that type of feeling. I felt it more in like Dark Souls 2 because that was my first experience with that than I did in Elden Ring.
yeah.
Elden Ring, I never beat a boss and like I felt accomplished and I felt really good about it, but I never beat it and like experienced like that kind of high. I was more like, oh, sweet.
I think though.
I feel like a lot of Elden Ring bosses felt gettable. There were some Dark Souls 2 bosses where you're like, I don't even.
When you beat
I don't
some of
think
those
I can
bosses, it was
do
like
this.
that was like
How much do you think this is due to that not being your first game?
I think it's because I got numb to
lot.
it by the time Elden Ring
Because
came out.
like that's the whole thing is like, so me, Sekiro,
Yeah.
Francisco, Bloodborne, right?
Right.
Those were our first games, and that when I beat Genichiro in Sekiro, that was the high of highs from Software because I was like, I was like, Neo in the Matrix. I was like, I understand now. I get it now.
I'm evolved.
Yeah, I was like,
Well, and that's why I think Elden Ring is in those games work so well. Is none of those peak for me like Hall Heroes or whatever.
uh-huh.
But you get 30 of them per playthrough. Because you got
Yeah.
30 different bosses that you're like, okay, now I got to learn what.
So
this
when
guy's
you
got.
played what was your first Dark Souls 2?
Dark Souls 2,
Was that a
And
high that
ye-
was like above Elden Ring?
probably more than Elden Ring, just because there was so much friction in that game. You like.
Well, and you're
I
learning.
do
there's
remember you
so-
actually physically standing up and like shouting for joy when you beat certain bosses.
There's one.
I don't think that ever happened in Elden Ring.
I don't think so. There's one boss in particular. I don't even remember. I couldn't tell you his name. His boss room is way underground. It's not the Rotten. It's way underground in like this castle area. I think it might even be. No, it's not part of the DLC. We used to farm the knights on the top because there was like 3 that would spawn right next to a bonfire. You make your way down, and it's hella far away from the bonfire, and you fight him in this like dark room. And he's one of the Great Rune bosses, I think. And he's like a soldier. He's about the same size as you. He's got just very basic, but there's so much
You're
friction.
talking about if he's like one of the great rune bosses.
And we're back. There we go. But yeah, there's
Finding out
go ahead.
stuff.
Yeah, the back of the
I
napkin.
was saying, yeah. So like, when Dark Souls 2 came out, we couldn't. There were no guides. There's no nothing. Dark Souls 2 is incredibly confusing to figure out how to progress it. And we were looking up just like maps, and they were like hand drawn things that people like uploaded to like Reddit, and they kind of made sense. We were like, oh, is this where we're supposed to go? And like nobody knew. I love that experience.
Well, and so like with Witcher, not like the impact of the story was also affected by that. Like it didn't hit me as hard as if I went in blind.
8 years after the game launched, you played it. Like, how did it take that long to play that game?
I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense.
I'm not
Super into fantasy.
not a fantasy guy.
That was like
I don't like role play in the bed.
that was like that was like required playing. I feel like for that generation.
That it was like on the level of GTA. I felt like in
Like
terms of
everybody's playing
everyone
Witcher
heard of
3
it.
I don't know. It flew over me. What else was out
in 2015.
around the same time?
GTA 5
I was playing GTA 5.
That had been out for a couple years at that point.
had it.
Yeah, it came out in 2013.
So what else came out around Witcher 3?
Bloodborne came out in 2014. Uncharted 4 came out in 2016.
Oh, you know what it was?
Look up games that came out in 2015.
Batman: Arkham Knight, Metal Gear Solid
Ooh,
5,
that
Phantom
was
Pain,
Batman:
Fallout,
Fallout
4.
4.
Fallout 4.
It was the standout game.
Well,
For
so
sure.
what it was is I had this weird thing in games. I don't have it anymore. Of I did not want to play a third if I hadn't played 1 and 2.
Mm,
And so seeing that it was 3 and seeing how old 1 and 2 were,
yeah.
I like wrote it off because it's like I'm not going to understand 3. I haven't played the other
I won't
two.
understand. You do not need to play.
No, you don't. It's
First-
not at all required.
Yeah.
But for some reason I felt like it was, and so I just didn't buy it because
Okay.
I was like, I haven't played the other two.
I think I tried to go back and play Witcher 1 and do that, but oof.
Witcher 1 is severely dated.
And I never went
sure.
back and played any of the DLCs. Not Blood and Wine, not the other two.
Blood and Wine is one of the best DLCs
That's what
ever
they say.
made for any game. Like it's just so.
Phantom Liberty is pretty close.
Blood and Wine could be its own game.
It
though.
could.
Like Blood and Wine introduced a whole new map, introduced like a 20-hour campaign with like 40
How-
hours of side
With
content.
Regis Philbin.
Kyle, I was ready for that expansion too.
Yeah.
I had farmed up that legendary armor.
You just
Why didn't you do it?
I don't know.
You just
I
moved on?
literally I got the hardest armor to get.
it's the same thing.
The
that happened
entire
with-
weapons, all the armor. I got everything grinded for that because some of that shit you had to do weird shit. You had to like, there was no. I remember rowing this fucking boat.
You're trying to get
this-
monster hairs, and I remember
Something
you were
like
farming
that.
like random enemies.
You gotta get
hoping
like
them to drop.
scales off the fucking shoreline or something, and you're rowing this stupid boat for like 10 minutes to get to this one shoreline and get like 3 of them. I'm like, fuck it, keep going, man. Get that armor.
It's the same thing that happened to you with Elden Ring.
Yeah, that's true.
You're notorious for if things take longer than a couple months to come out, it's very easy for you to just move
fall
on
off, yeah.
and just move on to other things.
Like
gotta
Shadow of the
change
Earth.
that.
And
I gotta change that.
Witcher came out in 2015, like May, and then Blood and Wine didn't come out until May of 2016, a year later. By
year.
then, you had moved on. You were doing other things.
What-
You couldn't, yeah,
What was Blood and Wine cost wise? $20?
20, I think.
20? And
Might have been
well,
like-
how'd you get it? Do you just
Spot it.
like at the GameStop or like do you just
No,
do
I
digital
bought it
download?
online.
Digital
Like,
download.
just from the
I'm just trying to
PlayStation
think like
Store.
what was the friction that made me not?
Nothing. It's just you hadn't played in a year.
You're
And you were
playing
like,
Guild
I'm not
Wars.
going back to a game I haven't played in a year.
Damn,
Yeah.
brutal.
You were
It
playing
wasn't-
Guild Wars again, maybe?
It wasn't like you had a bad
Probably a lot of
experience with Witcher. You just moved on. But like, I remember in a weird. So, also you got way into Gwent,
Dude,
Way
yes, I forgot.
and he was like in areas he shouldn't have been in because he was trying to like collect all the cards.
I was trying to like
So
finish.
he did all the Gwent, like the whole entire. He collected every Gwent card, did the whole Gwent quest line for everything before he was like even level 10. He was like he did all that. So he was in like level 30 areas,
Playing
like
Gwent.
just playing Gwent.
rushing from like literally if any enemy hit me, I was one shot. You know?
And there was one mission in the Passiflora, which is like that that prostitute house brothel that you had to fight a part of the quest line. But there were certain cards, and I remember you were like 20 levels under where you're supposed to be, and you you must have done it. It was insane. Like you did it like 50 times before you finally beat them. Like out of luck, you finally beat them, and you're like, "Oh, I did not want to have to play through the whole game to get back."
Yeah.
So you might have found like some exploit or something.
Like some way to cheese it.
Yeah, just because you wanted to get all the Gwent stuff.
Dude, I was like trading with Deetra, whatever his name was, like way before I should even be talking to this guy. You know, like all these endgame people, and yeah.
And then like if you were progressing the story, it was to get to a Gwent thing.
It's like, all right, come on. Where's the next card? All right. I was like undefeated in Gwent. I don't know.
I had
hooked
all
on
the
that.
Gwent decks in real life too, and I lost them. I don't know
What?
happened to 'em. Yeah.
Dude, that sucks.
Were you Triss or Yennefer?
Who was the first one?
Triss?
the
Chris,
redhead?
yes.
Redhead?
That was definitely her.
Yennefer, because I was
You're
more.
Yennefer.
Finally, we agree on.
Well, that's narratively. I mean, that's
Narratively,
the
Yennefer
Liara
is the-
Tally conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yennefer
you guys
has,
agree on Tally.
Well, so my game choice, because I don't remember how thorough I played this story. I dumped close to 100 hours in that game, so I played it pretty completionist, if you want to say. But I retired Geralt, which is you're not really supposed to do that. Like none of the decisions up to that point point to like, hey, this is what Geralt wants. But I'm like, I do want to kick back on the open plains and have this hot redhead.
If
with
you'd have-
him. Like,
If you would
Yeah.
have played the Blood and Wine DLC, it would have even been even better because
Really?
they finish up the retirement or whatever. You inherit a vineyard, and you can max it out and like make it all fresh. And then if you have Triss as the ending, she still lives in Kovir and just comes and visits you every so often or whatever. And they kind of just treat it like a retirement or like a vacation home. And so like he has to go with Triss to Kovir. At Yennefer, it's much more like because they both retire, they both live on that vineyard, and they're both like, we're done. We're not doing anything
No
for these
shit,
people
huh?
anymore. We're just happy living the way we are. And the narrator's like, they often sleep in well after noon and drink wine.
I didn't know
and,
that was how Yennefer's ending was. Wow.
yeah, Yennefer's ending is actually more like
Chill.
than Triss's. With
Huh.
that. It might change your whole
Yeah.
perspective on
It does actually, but I remember because the whole time I felt like Yennefer was just I was not playing hard to get. Triss was just open and honest. I felt like it was.
And Yennefer was constantly bringing up your infidelity.
Yeah.
when you had amnesia.
jerk.
I had amnesia.
It's like, Triss, I had amnesia. And she's like, oh, really? I guess we're going to bring that up every time. I was like, come on, Yennefer.
It just was not natural, and with Triss it was. And I remember making that decision. It was so clearly not the story decision, but I'm like,
But
what my
Yennefer's
heart
your
says.
soulmate.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it.
Yennefer's your soulmate,
Well-
but you definitely feel like Geralt works at that harder
Yes.
than he does with Triss.
And
Which, is why she's his soulmate.
I really like the whole story of Yennefer and Geralt of like the wish, and you don't know if his wish is why they like each other, or if they actually do like each other, and then they break the wish, and it's like,
I've done
did that change anything?
both playthroughs multiple times, and that one's heartbreaking because you have to officially break up with Yennefer at some point. And so after the wish, and she's like, I guess it wasn't just the djinn. Like, I still love you. And you can straight up be like, sorry, Yen, the magic's gone. And he can say that. He's like, because I don't love you anymore. And you can, like, say that to her, like, so, like, ruthlessly. And she just, like, she basically just, like, doesn't know how to take it. She gets all angry, stands up, and leaves you. And, like, teleports away. And you're just, like, stuck at the top of the mountain.
Shit.
I really like the Shawnee, like, little fling.
Shawnee's the short hair girl, right?
The redhead in
Hearts of Stone.
Hearts of Stone DLC. Yeah, that one's fun. That one is like it's like a quick little fling romance that's never going to go anywhere. And you both kind of recognize that.
Are you not with Yennefer or Triss?
You are. You can actually do the thing with Shawnee. It has no effect on your romance with
Geralt's
Yennefer.
out there being
Geralt's,
Okay.
he's a bit of a slut.
slinging dick.
Yeah, slanging dick. And then you
He's got a
even,
heart of stone.
He's got a heart of stone.
That's what it's about. No, kidding.
Wow.
It's all about cheating.
This whole time. Well, and then like in Blood and Wine, you can romance the
have-
sister
And again, just like a little fling with the sister, like in the clouds.
in the clouds.
And she's like rough too. She's like biting you and shit. Like, and girl, you can
Sounds
even
like
hear
some
him.
Baldur's
He's
Gate
like,
shit.
At one point when like she like bites him. Even Witcher is really tame compared to like Baldur's Gate. And like it's crazy how much games have like, I don't know if you want to call it evolved or devolved, but like
Do they motion cap a lot of the Baldur's Gate?
yeah.
yeah, they
So they
But-
just simulate sex?
I mean, there's not really any
they simulate
sex.
it. Like
Yeah, I know. They
There's like,
insinuate.
yeah.
if you romance Carlac, she straight up picks you up
And
and
pecks you.
manhandles you, throws you under the bed, and then it implies that she like
Fingers
basically
you.
takes ownership of you.
I submit.
Please.
Well, we're like 2.5 hours into the stream, boys. Dylan, where can people find us?
They can find us right here on
What a
YouTube.
weird topic to end it on.
I know.
I mean, yeah.
All right. Anyways,
Carlac manhandles you. But yeah,
We're
you
going
can
to go
find us-
to that.
Anyways, right here on YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday. We missed last Thursday, but Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific time, we stream in person right here. Thursdays we do gaming. Right now we're doing Guild Wars 1, and we're having a lot of fun. So come join us, leave a like, subscribe, comment, chat with us. A lot of fun.
The good KD. Get the dub.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.